Marvel FBI. First mission persuading Harley Quinn.
Chapter 1 What the hell? The FBI of the world. Good morning, Lee. The director is waiting for you on the 31st floor. Quote. Okay. Quote. Lee Chung-fung dealt with the front desk receptionist with an awkward smile, then silently wiped the sweat from his forehead. Although he didn't want to believe it, it turned out that he had traveled through time. His name was still Lee Chung-fung, but his identity had become an agent seconded from the FBI's Republic headquarters to the American headquarters. His strength should be very strong. As the most elite FBI agent, his physical fitness is close to the human limit. He is proficient in more than 50 fighting techniques and almost all weapons. He is also proficient in tactics, interrogation, investigation, multiple languages, criminal psychology and other compulsory courses for agents. He is a top-notch ace agent in the general administration of the Republic. His skills are enough to film God of War Return. Fortunately, the FBI is an open organization in every country, otherwise Lee Chung-fung might not know where to go to work and make a living. I just don't know if I can slack off. Through his memory and the information searched through his mobile phone, Lee Chung-fung felt that this world should be a parallel world, because there was a place that was incompatible with the world before he traveled through time. That is the World Federation, the highest authority established by the vast majority of countries in the world, which is divided into permanent states and member states. Unlike the United Nations in its previous life, they have real power. The World FBI is its direct law enforcement agency, and the 5 permanent countries each have a headquarters, which operate independently of each other but are integrated as a whole. For example, he could be seconded from the Republic Bureau to the America Bureau with just a piece of paper. This is a perfect example of the FBI being one. Tisk, other people who travel through time inherit memories and get a gold finger, but I'm fine, I don't care about anything after I get here, I just come to work first. Quote. While lamenting that he was born to be a social animal, Lee Chung-fung walked into the elevator and pressed the button for the 31st floor. Fortunately, although he is an FBI agent, he has such a powerful personal ability that as long as he does not deliberately seek death, he can basically live a safe life. The display hanging in the elevator was working continuously, rotating various news and information. Just as Lee Chung-fung was standing alone in the elevator slowly rising, a clip of entertainment news was played. However, this piece of entertainment news was like a magnitude 10 earthquake that directly hit the psychological preparation that Lee Chung-fung had just made. Bruce Wayne of Gotham City appeared at a charity gala held by the Gotham Natural Disaster Relief Fund as a representative of the Wayne Group. This time, the young rich man was accompanied by, I have to count them carefully, 5 stunning beauties who have made a name for themselves in the fashion and Hollywood industries. My God, wouldn't they be jealous when they were around Bruce Wayne? Quote. Come on, Leisner, if you have a consortium with assets of at least 100 billion, no matter how many women you find, I believe they will all live peacefully under the same roof. Quote. Lee Chung-fung was stunned on the spot. Who was the name that the host just mentioned? As he thought this, a photo appeared on the screen. 5 beauties with different looks gathered around a man with a face that was meticulously carved like a sculpture and a sexy and righteous square chin. DC Universe. He can't be that unlucky, right? After all, everyone knows how dark DC is. With only human limits, he is just a super soldier in the DC Universe. The news on the monitor continued to play. To be honest, I'm a little jealous, but when it comes to Bruce Wayne, we have to mention another man who is as good as him in the field of playboys, Tony Stark, the playboy from New York. Who is his latest girlfriend? Yes, Lois, a reporter from the Daily Planet. Quote. 2 more photos, the handsome but showy Tony Stark and the beautiful and determined Lois. Some people who haven't done their homework should be careful to be sued by Lois. This is my first-hand information. It is true that Tony Stark has been pursuing Lois recently, but our reporter friends didn't even give our lover a good look. It seems that for some women, money is not everything. Quote. Maybe, but the girls in New York should celebrate when they hear the news. Let's take a look at the next piece of news. Quote. Lee Chung-fung was not interested in the subsequent entertainment gossip at all, but was struggling to digest the shitty information he had received. Bruce Wayne, Tony Stark, and damn Lois. This is not a single comic universe, but a comprehensive universe. If only characters from a single universe appeared, he could still determine which universe he had come to. But at this moment, the characters from two universes appeared at the same time, which made him confused again. Is this world really a mixture of characters from only two universes? No one can guarantee it. Meow, you're not going to go to the rooftop to get some fresh air in the middle of the night and find a love-starved BT playing Crescent Moon Sky Rush on a higher building in the distance, are you? Quote. Lee Chung-fung muttered something, and the elevator cooperated very well by stopping at this time and slowly opening the elevator door. We have arrived at the 31st floor. At the same time, a strange electronic sound appeared in my mind. Congratulations on successfully exploring part of the worldview. The strongest agent system in history is being unlocked. Closing square bracket. Open black lens bracket unlocked successfully. Close black lens bracket. Open hollow corner bracket. The strongest agent system in history. Close hollow corner bracket. Actively solve FBI cases or complete tasks issued by the FBI to obtain a random ability of the mission target. Lee Chung-fung walked out of the elevator quickly without hesitation and took a deep breath. No matter what kind of existence made me travel through time, at least it had some conscience and gave me a system so that I wouldn't run around naked in a world full of super ability people. Quote. But the embarrassing thing now is that there seems to be no ability to be obtained in cases involving ordinary people. As for those famous characters in comics, movies and TV series, this kind of case may not be easy to complete with my own fighting ability. But at least it gave me a path that could theoretically work. There is only one door on the entire 31st floor, with Strategic Analysis Room written on it. Through the glass wall, Lee Chung-fung saw huge amounts of people at the end of the Strategic Analysis Room, with his back to him. Although he couldn't see the face, Lee Chung-fung couldn't help but frown because of the precedence of several cartoon characters in the news just now. Could this be another comic or movie character? Pushing open the door, Lee Chung-fung shouted loudly. Special Agent Lee Chung-fung from the World Federal Bureau of Investigation's Republic Headquarters reports to you. Quote. Oh, come here. Quote. Lee Chung-fung walked forward upon hearing this, and at the same time he also saw the man's back clearly. A smooth and shiny black bald head just had its back facing him. Meow, it can't be. Director, you're looking for me. Quote. Oh yes, take a look at these materials first. Quote. The man turned around while handing over a folder. Oh no, one-eyed. It's really Nick Fury, the black-brined egg. Chapter 2. The Beautiful Witch Ada Wong Goes to Arkham Asylum. Lee Chung-fung, who had already gotten used to all this, did not hesitate about anything. Instead, he took the folder and took a look at the cover. Arkham Asylum Patient Files. Quote. Keep reading. Black Braised Egg didn't say anything, just indicated to continue browsing the information. Nodding, Lee Chung-fung turned to the first page and saw a form with a palm-sized photo in the upper left corner. The blonde hair seemed to have been bleached, and the ends were dyed red and blue. And no matter how you look at it, she looks almost exactly like Margot Robbie's version of Harley Quinn. Maybe the being who created this mixed world also felt that some of the costumes and styles in the comics were just too outrageous. Lee Chung-fung curled his lips. Sometimes he really had nothing to say about the tights culture in American comics. It's really exciting. My real name is Harleen Quinzel. I am 170 centimeters tall and weigh 64 kilograms. Quote. A special psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum, specializing in treating the most insane criminal in Gotham City, Joker. Quote. But she was attracted to the Joker and went completely crazy. She released the Joker and called herself Harley Quinn, becoming the Joker's partner in crime. Later, in a recent bank robbery, she was seriously injured by the Joker and was admitted to Arkham Asylum for treatment. Quote. Sir, although it may be impolite, what's the point of showing me the medical records of a lunatic? Quote. Oh, didn't I text you? I hope you can be the person in charge to form a team. Nick Fury pretended to be surprised, and Harley Quinn will be the first member you recruit. Quote. Ding, the mission, Team Startup, has been released. Mission Introduction. Young Agent, the team is officially established. The first mission is to recruit members and persuade Harley Quinn to surrender. Tisk, this broken system is quite fast. Team. Excuse me, sir, I was trained to be an FBI agent, and I have always worked alone and solved everything. If you want to sneak into the enemy camp to dismantle a tactical nuclear bomb, find me. If you want to assassinate important personnel behind enemy lines, find me. But teamwork, I'm really not good at it. Li Changfeng's face was full of righteousness, and he also showed a little embarrassment. Besides, are you really sure that a patient in a mental hospital can become an FBI agent? Quote, nonsense. If it was just an ordinary parallel world, it would be fine. This is a comprehensive world where we mix and match countless works, and who knows how many weird things will happen. The team was created by you, Nick Fury, and now it's Harley Quinn. What about the future? Is it still far from superhero organizations like Avengers or Justice League? Play with that group of Superman XJB right from the start. What Phil Coulson knockoff? This guy's ending was not good. In the original book, he was stabbed to death by Loki during the battle in New York. Although he was later revived, the pain he endured through the Tahiti project was more horrific than death. And he has a hunch that if the Avengers are formed again in this world, there will definitely be people from other works intruding. For example, the medical records of Harley Quinn in his hand. Li Changfeng sighed inwardly. This is the disadvantage of the integrated world. All the foresight about the plot development has turned into bullshit. Everything is new and different. I think you're right, so now you need to learn to be the leader of a team. Black Sauce Egg is like all leaders. Once a decision is made, the suggestion will always be just a suggestion. By the way, you should be a level 6 agent, right? Quote, yes, level 6 agent. Quote, seeing that Hailuden had changed the subject, Li Changfeng nodded in response. The agents of the FBI in the world are divided into levels from 1 to 10. Level 6 may not seem high, but it is already the highest level that a frontline agent can reach. It is the same as military rank. You can't let a super special forces soldier who has made many military achievements charge into battle with the rank of general, right? Now, welcome to the 7th level, Agent Li Changfeng. Black Braised Egg sat back at his desk. Since you are someone I specially seconded from the general administration of the Republic, you only need to be responsible to me, so you don't have to pay attention to other higher level agents, even if they are of a higher level. Quote, Li Changfeng blinked his eyes. A 7th level agent, that means he has now officially left the middle level of the FBI and entered the senior level. And he is only responsible to Nick Fury. In a sense, he is the Imperial Envoy. I've always wondered, is there no one left in the American General Administration? Did they specially second me from another country? Quote, you really don't know how to hold back. But you're right, the American agency is really short of people, especially high-level agents who can work independently. Recently, the entire America seems to be cursed, and the number of incidents requiring the American agency to be dispatched has increased by nearly dozens of times in a short period of time. So if I want to form a team that can deal with any emergency as quickly as possible, I have to borrow an excellent high-level agent from the most peaceful and least short-staffed Republic agency to serve as the team leader. Quote, Li Changfeng was stunned. He didn't expect that this black salted egg would admit it so quickly and in such a flat tone. He thought that he would say some mysterious riddles to pua him, but it turned out that he was just giving up. It seems that the director of the American General Administration is under a lot of pressure recently. Okay, stop staring at me here and go to the 30th floor. I have assigned you an adjutant. I have already prepared the detailed formation process and plan a week ago. Quote, yes, Chief. Li Changfeng nodded, but he wanted to humiliate this black salted egg, so he asked with pretended curiosity, by the way, Chief, the scars under your eye patch, why did they look like they were scratched by a cat? Quote, get out of here. Quote, seeing that Black Boiled Egg had raised his hand to see him off and had no intention of talking to him anymore, Li Changfeng tactfully turned around and left. However, the moment he turned around, he saw the yuan-devouring beast curled up in a corner and yawning. Haha, men are so stubborn. This meeting with the new leader was quite good. The most important thing was that he didn't say much, but he was given the privilege to do things his way. But none of this matters. What matters is that when Fury mentioned assigning an adjutant just now, he used the word, she. Who could it be? Makan Gbird. Sharon Carter. Vibe Girl Without Awakening. Or the long-legged Aunt Maria Hill. Lee Chung-fung suddenly felt that time travel did have some benefits. At least it's a feast for the eyes. As a leader, if I date my subordinates, people won't accuse me of abuse of power, right? Lee Chung-fung muttered as he walked into the elevator again. This is free America, and you might really be reported. It was only necessary to go down one floor, so Lee Chung-fung walked out again as soon as he entered the elevator. However, the style of painting has completely changed. The conference room on the 31st floor was, in style, just like any other American law enforcement agency, except that it was ridiculously large. The 30th floor gives people the feeling that technology has suddenly advanced by a whole generation, and the office area has a futuristic feel. There were a lot of people here, but they were all in good order, and no one noticed a time traveler who had never seen the world coming in. After Lee Chung-fung looked around curiously for a while, he was watching the internal processing information flashing on the big screen with relish when a hand suddenly patted his shoulder. Agent Lee Chung-fung. Quote, it's me. Quote, turning around with a smile, Lee Chung-fung was still thinking about leaving a good impression on his new colleagues. But after seeing clearly who patted his shoulder, the smile on his face froze. Not the Vibe Girl, not Maria Hill. Neither is Makan Gbird nor Agent 13. This woman was not wearing the FBI's blue uniform, but a red cheongsam embroidered with golden butterflies. The holster on her slender thigh could be vaguely seen. Having the freedom to dress however one wants means one is at least a level 4 elite agent. With her short black hair, inexplicably mysterious temperament, and a smile on her lips, she looks more like a charming and mysterious villain than an elite agent. Hello, Agent Lee Chung-fung, I am the adjutant assigned to you by Director Nick Fury. Quote, you can call me King Ada. Quote, finally, we meet. Chapter 3 The Bat Calls. Ada Wong, mostly referred to as Auntie Wong, Sister Wong, or the Beaten King, is a mysterious and multifaceted spy who is both good and evil in the Resident Evil series and is a legendary figure in the underground world. Definitely, this is in the Resident Evil game, but the Sister Wong in front of you is a member of the world's FBI. Her appearance really surprised and delighted Lee Chung-fung. What's surprising is that this means that this world has also integrated the Resident Evil world, and maybe a tyrant will suddenly jump out from that corner or chase after us. The good news is that compared to the bizarre American comic worlds like Marvel and DC, the Resident Evil world can definitely be considered a novice mode. After all, in the worldview of Resident Evil, there is basically no creature that cannot be dealt with by hot weapons. If so, send more. Sister Wong, I have long heard of your name. Quote, compared to the youngest ace agent of the Republic Bureau, I am indeed a little old. Quote, for some reason, King Ada's tone was a little resentful. I was just joking. Hearing this, Lee Chung-fung hurriedly shook the other party's outstretched hand. Nice to meet you, Ada. Quote, me too, Agent Lee Chung-fung. Ada Wong smiled appropriately and restrainedly. Let's head to Gotham City first. I have already reported this mission to the Bureau. Quote, is time so tight? Quote, we're going to Gotham after all, and no one wants to visit that city late at night, especially if Arkham Asylum is your destination. Quote, Lee Chung-fung scratched his head. What King Ida said was right. And the most important point is that if you want to take a patient away from Arkham Asylum, you will inevitably have an intersection with Bruce Wayne. Whether it's the Playboy during the day or the Bat at night. Ellipsis. Tisk, 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 the America General Administration is really rich. They are willing to refurbish the former Air Command Center and give it to us for use. Quote, Lee Chung-fung sat in the spacious rest area, looking through the various materials that King Ada had prepared long ago. The vast majority of the information piled up like a mountain is detailed information about various extraordinary people. The first one still belongs to Harley Quinn. Unlike the medical records Nick Fury had given him, this was a truly detailed biography, from his birth time down to the second to such trivial details as which finger he used to pick his nose the most. This demonstrates the intelligence capabilities of the world's largest law enforcement agency. And the detailed establishment process and plan, mentioned at the beginning, Damn it, only took up one page, and it wasn't even full. You can imagine how anxious Nick Fury is. What does it mean that you can choose the right person in the future? What do you mean it doesn't matter whether you are a human or not, as long as you look like a human being? Have I been cheated? Does this black salted egg want to help him collect superheroes by asking him to form a team? This Airbus has been operating at full capacity until the 1990s. It has only gradually become a symbol after the construction of the flying aircraft carrier. Both its performance and load capacity are impeccable. Ada Wong, who had just set up automatic navigation, walked out of the cockpit and sat next to Lee Chung-fung. It seems that you should have read the formation plan left by director Nick Fury. Quote, "Yes, after reading it, I felt like I had run into a scammer. Can I choose to arrest him directly? Throwing that black salted egg into the army of online fraudsters will make me a big boss." Quote, director Nick Fury does operate in this style, but the simplicity of the plan shows that this team has a high degree of autonomy. Quote, "I definitely understand this. If they want to find a lunatic as a team member, won't their autonomy be high? In our republic, the old guy on the street will definitely report us to the Disabled Persons Federation for exploiting the disabled. But compared to the purpose of forming this team, I am more curious about why Nick Fury designated Harley Quinn as the first member. Quote, strictly speaking, I am the first member of the team." Ada Wong bit her fiery red lips lightly, revealing a slightly moist luster. As for the reason for designating Harley Quinn, it's simple, because she is one of us. Quote, one of our own. Quote, Lee Chung-fung was instantly intrigued by this description. A psychiatrist in Gotham City's insane asylum and Joker's partner in crime was actually called one of our own by a well-established elite FBI agent. To be precise, she almost became one of us. Before she finished her studies, she was included in the FBI's Talent Reserve program and was granted the status of a reserve agent. Otherwise, how could she have entered a high-risk unit like Arkham Asylum for research right after graduation? Quote, Ada Wong was still that mysterious yet teasing bad woman. She gently stroked the back of Lee Chung-fung's hand with her fingertips, and took the biography of Harley Quinn and gently opened it. I have summarized all of this in detail in the materials. You didn't just read the first and last pages, did you? Quote, you're so long-winded. Who would read so much information in such detail? Quote, she is really worthy of being Sister Wong, a pure bad woman. This type is the hardest for him to deal with. I can't stop. However, Lee Chung-fung still felt that it was somewhat outrageous that Harley Quinn was a reserve agent of the FBI. Although the reserve agent has not yet officially become a first-level agent, he has also received a complete agent course. In addition, he was originally a researcher in mental illness, but was attracted to the madman Joker and finally defected. It's not that Harley Quinn's will is not strong enough, but that the madman Joker originally has outrageous and weird mental pollution, which is completely beyond the scope of science. The smarter people are, the more easily they are influenced by him. It's clear that Harley Quinn was a smart person back then. By the way, has the FBI contacted Arkham Asylum about transferring Harley Quinn? Quote, Arkham Asylum is not a public institution, but a private prison. That's right, a prison, and in theory its security level is second only to space prisons like the Phantom Zone, and is even higher than the Dream Prison where Suicide Squad is imprisoned. Although Amadeus Arkham is the founder, the first sponsor of the current Arkham Asylum is Bruce Wayne. The connection was completed before departure. Ada said, and Airbus's intelligent system projected a video call request on the big screen. Oh, you see, it's just right. Quote, what's just right? Quote, Lee Chung-fung subconsciously responded as he looked up, and then saw the video call request on the big screen. From Bruce Wayne. Tisk, connected. Quote, good. Quote, Ada Wong skillfully manipulated the projected three-dimensional screen, and the next moment, a deep and sexy male voice resounded throughout the lounge. Hello, Agent Lee Chung-fung. Quote, how come everyone can call out my name? Am I that famous? Even Bruce Wayne, the famous man in Gotham City, knows me. I'm not some celebrity or model who wants to be famous, am I? Quote, I can hear a lot of sarcasm in your words, but I take it as a compliment. Bruce Wayne in the picture didn't seem to care about the sarcasm at all. Instead, he nodded to Li Changfeng. His square-chinned handsome face with a strong sense of justice exuded a sense of righteousness. I really don't know how he used this face to disguise himself as a playboy. Nick Fury and I are old acquaintances. Wayne Group is one of the outsourcing partners of the American General Administration. Quote, my goodness. Nick Fury is actually having an affair with his grandpa. Will Tony cry? It feels like NTR. Since you are an old acquaintance of Nick Fury, you should naturally know Harley Quinn's identity. Li Changfeng leaned on the armrest of the sofa, supporting his chin with his right hand, and said playfully, but aren't you caring too much about her? Quote, Dr. Harleen Quinzel was once my friend. You should understand that people like me rarely have true friends, especially those of the opposite sex. Quote, then I can assure you that this matter will only benefit her and not harm her. I, Li Changfeng, will always keep my word. Quote, if that's the case, that would be great. Bruce Wayne nodded. Well, as a playboy, I have an appointment tonight and cannot personally see Drive. Quinzel off. Please do as you please. Quote, there are always some regrets in life, just like a bat can't always successfully catch its prey, right? Quote, when Bruce Wayne heard this, his expression did not change, but his eyes changed, 3 parts sharp, 3 parts thoughtful, and 4 parts suspicious. Li Changfeng pretended not to see the fan-shaped statistical chart in the eyes of the Gotham romantic Proxima Midnight boss and hung up the video call directly. It looks like we won't be able to see this richest man again. Quote, that's right, Ada, we may not see Bruce Wayne. Quote, the daytime dude seems to be busy. But that bat didn't look like he had a date. Chapter 4. Is this a prison cell? At the speed of the Airbus, it wouldn't take long to fly to Gotham City. So a few minutes after hanging up the video call with Bruce Wayne, Li Changfeng saw the legendary Arkham Asylum. He had only seen its true appearance in comics and games. Now that he had seen it with his own eyes, he had to admit that it was much bigger than he had imagined. Although the Airbus can take off and fall upright, its size is also quite astonishing. However, Arkham Asylum actually has plenty of space for the Airbus to dock directly. But as soon as he landed, Li Changfeng frowned. Is the defense so weak? There are only a few security guards in such a large place. This is the prison that is said to be second only to the Phantom Zone. Welcome, welcome. I am the Deputy Director of Arkham Asylum. Mr. Wayne has already greeted me in advance. You must be Agent Lee, right? Quote, yes, please lead the way. I hope to take Harley Quinn away immediately to prevent any complications. Li Changfeng shook hands with the vice president who came out to greet him. After all, she is inextricably linked to the most troublesome guy in your Gotham. Quote, you're right. A pure madman like Joker is really troublesome. Who knows what he will do? Quote, the vice president had an expression of deep approval, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and then walked to the side to lead the way for Li Changfeng and Ida. He also introduced Arkham Asylum as he walked, in a rather long-winded way. Li Changfeng used the FBI's exclusive personal terminal to contact the FBI internally, and asked them to investigate some things in his capacity as a Level 7 agent, so he responded in a disjointed manner. Because of the danger and special nature of Harley Quinn's original room, her room is located in the deepest and most difficult to reach place. Even with the vice president leading the way, it still took quite a long distance to arrive. A name tag with the words, Harley Quinn, was hung on the heavy iron door. It's fine that there are no guards patrolling inside, but Harley Quinn is such a special and dangerous patient, and you didn't assign any extra guards. Quote, you don't know this. This ward is originally guarded by the best guards. If she can successfully escape from the ward, believe me, the guards available on the market will basically not be able to deal with this woman. Quote, that's true. Quote, Li Changfeng responded perfunctorily but did not agree with the explanation. Harley Quinn originally possessed the physical fitness of a gymnast and the basic skills of a reserve agent. After going crazy, she seemed to begin to ignore the limitations of the human body, as if she had unlocked the legendary genetic lock, and her combat effectiveness soared. The older generation in the Republic always said that crazy and stupid people are naturally strong, which is somewhat true, but this is no reason to have no guards. But it's best not to bring weapons in. If she gets hold of them, it will be difficult to deal with. Quote, "We are only here to transfer the patient. Where are the weapons?" Quote, Li Changfeng patted his suit and the magnum gun underneath it that he couldn't let go of. Before he traveled through time, he could only play this thing in computer games. "I'll have to put it under my pillow every time I sleep." "Okay, then please be careful, both agents." Quote, the vice president said this as he prepared to open the door of the ward. The door was made entirely of some kind of alloy and was quite similar to the safe door of a bank vault. After the sound of gears turning, Harley Quinn's ward revealed its true appearance. "Is this how you treat high-risk patients?" Quote, the corner of Li Changfeng's mouth twitched, and he resisted the urge to complain. "How can this be a ward or even a prison cell? Isn't this a pure little girl's boudoir? And it's the kind that's full of girlish heart. All furniture and electrical appliances are available, and all are high-end custom-made, all in tender pink colors. There was even a hyena in a princess dress, snoring on a cushion. Except that you can't leave or contact the outside world on your own, it's a perfect dead-end base. It's more exquisite than my bedroom." Quote, this scene even made the mysterious Ada Wong unable to help but complain. "Shouldn't your bedroom be like that? There is no light source, only the moonlight from the window. Then you sit on a throne made of some kind of skulls, drinking blood-red wine while showing a sinister smile under the moonlight from the window." Quote, interested in my bedroom? King Ada raised his eyebrows, his words full of temptation. "Do you want to explore it in person tonight?" Quote, no, I'm afraid that you, Ada, will evenly cut it into 300 pieces, each weighing 250 grams, and then eat one piece for breakfast every day, stir fry, deep fry, or make soup based on your mood. Quote, what do you think of me? Quote, Li Changfeng chuckled, but there was still a question in his mind. Is King Ada a little too enthusiastic about herself? It seems like there is some inexplicable feeling. Harley Quinn in the room looked at the new guest with interest and took off the pink cat ear headphones she had been wearing. "Look at your murderous looks, are you from the FBI? How is that black salted egg Nick Fury doing these days?" Quote, are you familiar with Black Sauce Egg? Quote, not that I know him very well. He was my graduate supervisor in criminal psychology, and he also took me through all the preparatory detective courses. Quote, Li Changfeng was stunned and subconsciously looked at Ada, only to see an expression on her face that said, I told you to finish reading the information. Quote, are the levels of crossover and modification of the worlds too deep? Judging from her resume, Harley Quinn is definitely Nick Fury's favorite disciple, just like Vibe among the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to Phil Coulson. No wonder he specifically wanted to recruit her into the team. As I get older, I always feel sorry for the younger generation. Plus Bruce Wayne said he considered her a rare true friend. The facilities in this room are probably the masterpieces of these two people. But, this Harley Quinn doesn't seem crazy. Li Changfeng even felt that the person he was talking to was not Harley Quinn, but psychologist Harleen Quinzel. Okay, don't stand outside the door, come in and sit down. Harley Quinn, who had been squatting on the huge sofa chair, stood up and landed on the ground with a light and stretching backflip. What would you like to drink? Coffee, Tennessee whiskey, or the evil and depraved green carbonated drink? Quote, random. Quote, then coffee will do. Quote, he was busy like a normal person with visitors at home. However, King Ada, who walked into the room first and looked around, did not think so. Li Changfeng followed her ghostly gaze and looked. The only normal part of the room was the area visible from the door. Every inch of the rest of the wall was covered with a photo of one person. Green hair, sloppily applied white makeup, and lips so red they seemed to be cracked all the way to the ears. Gotham's Prince of Crime, Joker, Mr. J. Joker. There are many names, but they all express fear of this person. However, in all the photos, half of the face was painted black or even scratched violently. The confusion is obvious at a glance. Unless this Harley Quinn is Two-Face in disguise. I know this scene is a little weird, but believe me, this is not the weirdest thing. Harley Quinn turned her back to everyone and made coffee. Have you ever seen fireworks and ribbons gushing out of people's wounds? Harley Quinn will see many strange scenes from her perspective. Quote, she is referring to herself in the third person. Dr. Quinzel. Quote, yes, for now it's Quinzel, but just keep calling me Harley Quinn. I'm used to it. Harley Quinn turned around with the tray in hand. All four of you can sit down. The sofa is spacious enough. Quote 4. The moment Lee Chung-fung turned around, he pulled out the magnum and pointed it towards the door. Behind everyone, a figure wearing a classic black cloak seemed to have been standing there from the beginning, motionless. Even if a magnum gun that could knock down an elephant was aimed at his head. When did Gotham's bats start flying out of their caves during the day? Chapter 5 Pale and Dark. Please don't be nervous, Agent Lee Chung-fung. Quote, I wasn't nervous at all. I just didn't expect the legendary Batman to be standing in front of me like this. Quote, Lee Chung-fung curled his lips and deflected the gun. Bats are trustworthy. Besides, a pistol doesn't pose much of a threat to this guy. I have a different attitude towards the FBI taking Harley Quinn away from Arkham Asylum. Batman walked forward silently. Although he was standing in front of Lee Chung-fung and talking to him, the Bat's eyes were looking at Harley Quinn. She is not only an accomplice of the Joker, but also the clue to finding the Joker. Quote, after a pause, he added, the only clue now. Quote, Lee Chung-fung scratched his head with the barrel of the magnum and thought that it was indeed because of this fucked up reason. Every time it comes to this kind of painful moment, you really don't know whether Batman is committed to justice. Still obsessed with Joker originally. Don't involve other people in this perverted game between you and Joker. Quote, Lee Chung-fung did not back down and continued to stand in front of Batman. The height difference meant that he could just see his chin when he looked straight at him, so he had to raise his head. People who put on Joker makeup to kill and set fire, and people who wear masks, capes and tights to do justice at night, are all crazy. Quote, are you also the type who thinks that vigilantes and those so-called superheroes are criminals? Batman slightly distanced himself from Lee Chung-fung and stood to the side of the door. I have no opinion on the level of the FBI agents. Quote, don't talk about our level. I know you are all good people, even real heroes. Lee Chung-fung curled his lips and leaned back on the sofa. But the fact that you are a hero and you are a lunatic are not contradictory. Quote, okay gentlemen, let's put the confrontation between the FBI agent and the Proxima Midnight vigilante in the refrigerator, okay. Shouldn't the focus now be on whether to get me out of here? Quote, Harley Quinn said this while sitting on the bed with a cup of coffee in her hand. Definitely, her personality at this moment is most likely Harleen Quinzel. She sipped her coffee slowly, watching with interest the two men who were fighting each other for her. Anyway, we must take Harley Quinn away. Although Lee Chung-fung appeared to be very tough, he was somewhat worried in his heart. After all, he was facing Batman, the only designated father of DC Comics, who might do something weird. As for Joker's whereabouts, you can cooperate with the FBI, right? After all, the FBI is not comparable to those useless state agencies in America. Quote, although he made some verbal criticisms of the country of America, Lee Chung-fung's attitude was generally quite sincere. There are two best ways to deal with the existence of Joker. The first one is to stay away from him. Most of the time he will just wreak havoc on Gotham and bats. The second option is to mobilize all resources and work together with Batman to deal with this madman. Lee Chung-fung is more inclined to the first option. He is not sure whether his IQ can beat Joker. As for the success probability of the second option, let's not talk about it for now. Will this world have 3 Jokers, just like what the Mobius chair said in the big event, Rebirth? Even if he is caught, Joker still possesses the Dionysus factor that can cross the line between life and death. No matter how you look at it, it's pretty cost-effective. And his first priority now is to complete the FBI's mission so that he can gain more abilities. In this inexplicable universe, the mere limits of human beings are really not enough. Even as humans reach their limits, their combat skills are still far inferior to those of the bats in front of them. And Harley Quinn is Nick Fury's favorite disciple. With your status, whether you were that guy during the day or this guy now, you should know him. Quote, Lee Chung-fung used the most effective strategy, using his power to overwhelm others and making a fuss about the true identity of the bat. Okay, I'll have a good talk with Nick Fury about this. Quote, Batman nodded. Although his face was hidden by the mask, Lee Chung-fung could already imagine the expression of a domineering boss who was ready to settle the score later. Alas, let's observe a second of silence for the black braised eggs. Deputy Director Jack Lawson, where is the regular security force today? It is almost only 1/10 of the usual guards. Perhaps Lee Chung-fung's suggestion was more reliable, so Batman quickly turned his attention to other places, and even the protection system of the entire Arkham Asylum is only maintained at the lowest level. Quote, this is because. Quote, the obese Vice President Jack Lawson's face turned pale in an instant, and cold sweat broke out. Under Batman's deathly gaze, he wiped the oily sweat dripping down his forehead with trembling hands. Lee Chung-fung and Ada Wong looked at each other. There is something fishy today. He felt something was wrong from the moment he entered Arkham Asylum. As a place where all kinds of highly intelligent criminals and terrifying lunatics are imprisoned, there are not even a few guards to be seen. No matter how high-end the prison is, there must always be a backup plan, right? We can't just adopt the strategy of locking people up in cells if they can, and leaving them alone if they can't, right? The one who explained all this as a normal phenomenon was the vice president who was responsible for receiving Lee Chung-fung. However, Lee Chung-fung is not a naive person like the one around the domineering boss. Buzz. At this moment, his personal terminal made a buzzing sound. Lee Chung-fung immediately came to King Ada and opened the terminal screen. Captain Lee, Agent Ada Wong, this is Ingrid Hannigan from the Field Support Division. Quote, Agent Hannigan, how's the investigation going? Quote, according to the chief's request, I investigated all the information and recent situation of the leadership of Arkham Asylum. Among them, $3 million were transferred into the overseas account of the wife of Vice Dean Jack Lawson at one time, and his 10-year-old son has been missing for a whole week, but he did not call the police. Quote, well done, Agent Hannigan. Your intelligence is crucial. I can now conclude that Jack Lawson was bribed and his son was taken hostage to ensure the perfect progress of the matter. Lee Chung-fung said, glaring at the sweaty deputy dean, and then continued to say to Hannigan, immediately use my authority to mobilize the field team in the Gotham Police Department to search for Jack Lawson's son. He should be detained somewhere in Gotham City. The specific clues will be handed over to you. Quote, yes, sir. Quote, Hannigan nodded and closed the terminal video call. It was obvious that he was a decisive person. Fortunately, Lee Chung-fung was careful and asked the FBI's Field Support Department to investigate. Sure enough. Hey, fatty, it's you who should pay the price, not your son, so the FBI will do its best to rescue him, don't worry. Lee Chung-fung said as he suddenly stretched out his hands and fiercely pinched the other's fat double chin with his iron-like hands. What you need to worry about now is yourself. Who bribed you? What did they ask you to do? Quote, you can choose not to say anything, but I don't mind turning around and staying quiet for a while. And when I turn around, even if 2 grenades are thrown at me from behind, it has nothing to do with me. I will pretend that nothing has happened, including what the bat is going to do to you. Lee Chung-fung pointed at Batman in the corner, no prize guessing, will he be a law-abiding person? Quote, I'll tell you everything. Don't hand me over to the bats. Quote, his fear of bats was obvious. After all, more than half of the criminals in the asylum were sent there by bats. Jack Lawson struggled breathlessly. Lee Chung-fung pushed his face away in disgust and wiped it twice on the sofa beside him. Hey, this is my couch. Quote, Harley Quinn rolled her eyes in dissatisfaction. When you return to the FBI, someone will help you clean the furniture inside and out and send it over. Interrupting Harley Quinn's complaints, Lee Chung-fung continued to stare at Jack Lawson's fat face. Okay, tell me. Quote, it's Joker. Quote, Joker. How come I'm not surprised at all? What did he ask you to do? Quote, he asked me to dismantle Arkham Asylum's defense system. Then the Jokers will break into Arkham Asylum with only one goal, and that is to rescue Harley Quinn. Quote, save her. Lee Chung-fung rubbed his temples, then showed a fake smile. You'd better not tell me, it's today. Quote, yes, that's right. Today. Quote, fuck. Quote, Lee Chung-fung kicked the fat pig to the ground and looked at the others. Sure enough, at the mention of Joker, Harley Quinn and the Bat's temperament and demeanor changed drastically. Especially Harley Quinn, her drive. Quinzel's demeanor disappeared in an instant. She suddenly reached out and pulled off her hair tie. Her long light golden hair with red and blue ends splashed down. A kind of crazy and broken beauty came towards her. "My pudding, you're finally here. Ha 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 ha." Quote. The almost hysterical laughter was particularly harsh in the silent environment where everyone was staring at each other in silence. But suddenly, footsteps sounded from outside the door. At first it was very far away, so it was very blurry. At the moment when the blurry light turned clear, Li Changfeng saw a leg sticking out from the corner. Dark purple suit pants and shiny black leather shoes. Then what came into view was pale skin and scary makeup. The pale green hair revealed his sin and madness. Joker. Batman looked solemn, staring closely at his greatest enemy in his life. "Ha ha 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 ha, isn't this my favorite bat friend? How come you have time to visit my most outstanding work today?" Quote. "What do you want to do?" Quote. "Wow, your aggressive tone is really nostalgic. I'm just a selfless good man, I'm here to pick up a friend from the hospital." Joker paused, and after hearing the faint sounds of looting and burning coming from the outside, he continued with satisfaction, "Definitely, by the way, I want to blow up this insane asylum where quack doctors are harming people." Quote. As he was speaking, Joker had already strolled to the door and was face to face with the Bat, a king meeting a king. Pudding. Quote. Harley Quinn jumped up from the bed excitedly, and just as she made a sound, Ada Wong pinned her down on the bed with a lock and covered her mouth. "Don't make any noise, or I won't mind dislocating your limbs first." Quote. Hey. Instead of getting angry, Harley Quinn let out bursts of dull laughter, which was indescribably crazy. "Ada, your job is to keep an eye on her and don't let her get involved." Quote. Li Changfeng lowered his head and entered a series of information on his personal terminal. After confirming that it was correct, he breathed a sigh of relief and put away the terminal. "Are you the Joker?" Quote. "Who are you?" "Oh yes, the great FBI agent. It's really scary just thinking about it." Quote. There was a lot of laughter in Joker's words, as if the FBI was a joke. In his eyes, everything is a joke. He and the Bat are the craziest and funniest parts of the joke. To him, everything except bats is boring, especially the FBI. Bang. Quote. The deafening sound of the Magnum gun rang out instantly, hitting Joker right between the eyebrows, and his smile froze instantly. "Don't stare at me with those crazy eyes. I'm really scared." Chapter 6 Harley Quinn's Lip Print. Many people do not have a thorough understanding of Joker and think that apart from the madness that is beyond human cognition, he is just an ordinary person. However, Joker's melee ability is not inferior to Batman's, and he can even defeat Batman head-on in a sword fight. However, Joker never wears a complete set of bulletproof and weapon-proof uniform like Batman. Moreover, perhaps due to his disordered madness, Joker is always overconfident. After all, his biggest enemy is a hero who does not kill. Joker never took other people seriously and regarded them as clowns who could be easily dismissed. Unfortunately, this is the real world, not a comic book special revolving around Batman and Joker. Everyone falls into trouble, including Joker. If you are not careful, you will really die. What's more, Li Changfeng doesn't think he is a sewer. He just doesn't want to play the game of humanity and IQ with Joker. Bats are more useful than brains. JPG. Gotham's Prince of Crime, just fell like that. Li Changfeng came forward and observed Joker's death with interest, without any discomfort from killing someone for the first time. "By the way, will you keep his body in the display cabinet, Bat? After all, a dark yandere like you doesn't seem like someone who could do such a thing." Quote. What did you do? Batman finally recovered from his brief shock and grabbed Li Changfeng by the collar. Joker should be punished by law, not a bullet from the FBI. Quote. Legal sanctions. Don't be silly. In the eyes of a Republican like me, your American laws are a joke in most cases. Li Changfeng chuckled nonchalantly and used the muzzle of his gun to push away the bat claws that were grabbing his collar. You have a principle of not killing, but I don't. The most terrifying criminal in Gotham smiled at me so creepily, which obviously threatened my life, so I shot him in the head. It's reasonable, right? Do you have to fight for human rights for the most crazy super criminals in America? That's really funny. Quote. Li Changfeng's reasons were impossible to refute. The words, "I am a citizen of the Republic," left Batman speechless. After all, the so-called non-killing principle is just his personal behavior, and he has no right to ask a high-level FBI agent to obey his command. Seeing Batman gradually regaining his sanity, Li Changfeng turned and walked to the bedside. At this moment, Harley Quinn's eyes have lost focus, and her helpless and desperate expression is like a child who lost his father. Li Changfeng sighed and said, "Ada, let her go." Quote, "Are you sure?" Quote, "I am quite sure of that." Quote, after getting a positive answer, Ada Wong didn't even hesitate a bit, and immediately released the hands that were restraining Harley Quinn. Just as Li Changfeng expected, Harley Quinn did not have any impulsive reaction. Instead, he looked at the Joker with a complicated expression, who was shot in the middle of his eyebrows but fell down with a smile on his face. How complicated is it? There is the admiration and respect as a worshipper, the madness and sadness as a Joker protege, and the hatred and pain as Harleen Quinzel. Hot news, Joker has never loved Harley Quinn. On the contrary, Joker dislikes and even hates Harley Quinn. Everything he did, trying to blow up Harley Quinn, and then spending a lot of money to rescue Harley Quinn after failing, was just a pastime for the Prince of Crime, who wanted to see how low the psychiatrist who originally tried to treat and study him would fall. In fact, he succeeds, and Harleen Quinzel fully becomes Harley Quinn. But he failed, too. Even Harley Quinn retained the last sense of good and evil and subconsciously pursued the light. Thus, a brand new Harley Quinn that had never existed before was created. A Harley Quinn who isn't completely insane. Li Changfeng was very sure that although Harley Quinn's feelings for Joker were extremely complicated, there was definitely no love for her. Even if there was, that twisted admiration disappeared without a trace when he was deliberately blown to the brink of death by Joker. Even Harley Quinn in the original work gradually broke away from Joker and even the ranks of villains, becoming an anti-hero and even a non-staff member of the Bat family. And he is a non-staff member with extremely high priority. This proves that even the crazier and more extreme Harley Quinn is always rejecting Joker in her heart. Faced with this situation, things become much easier. Harley Quinn, do you love Joker? Quote, love. Love a lunatic who turned me from a promising FBI agent candidate into an inmate of Arkham Asylum. Quote, do you hate him, then? Quote, definitely, all the time. Harley Quinn's expression gradually became indifferent, but he gave me a new life, and in a sense, he even replaced my dead father whom I had never met, so, you should understand that the conflict between father and daughter is always as fierce and entangled as a war. Quote, I thought the position of father was more suitable for Nick Fury. But it doesn't matter now. Joker is dead. Li Changfeng squatted down, lifted her chin, and looked into her eyes. Although he will be resurrected, he is indeed in a dead state now. I killed him, knocked down the omnipotent symbol of patriarchy, tore apart the terrifying pale demon, and restored his true appearance, a real madman who is keen on destruction and self-destruction. Quote, resurrection. Quote, it wasn't just Harley Quinn who exclaimed, but also Ada Wong. On the contrary, Batman on the side remained noncommittal. I think he has already witnessed the ability of the pure Dionysus factor to trample on life and death. So it is understandable that Bats doesn't want Joker to die. Maybe he thinks that Joker who is still alive is easier to monitor than Joker who dies and may be resurrected again without knowing when and where. You mean Mr. Mr. J will be resurrected. Quote, he kept everything from you, didn't he? Li Changfeng helped Harley Quinn up, held her hand and came to the Joker's body. Why pour your feelings into someone who is obsessed with torturing and destroying you? Quote, Harley Quinn looked at Joker's body so closely and sighed deeply. Don't sigh. Why should you sigh when facing a good ending? Here, take this. Li Changfeng put his head on her shoulder and whispered softly in her ear at an extremely ambiguous distance, like the whisper of a devil, come on, shoot. As a former reserve agent, your marksmanship should at least be up to the passing level. Quote, Ada Wong was about to say something but stopped herself because what Li Changfeng stuffed into Harley Quinn's hand was his own magnum. As an elite agent who is also proficient in psychology, she saw that Li Changfeng was ready to use collapse therapy at this critical juncture. But, will this really work? If Lee Chung-fung could hear King Ada's inner mumbling, he would definitely laugh out loud. Bullshit collapse therapy. He just knew that these cartoon characters were most susceptible to this kind of reverse persuasion. Sure enough, after taking the gun, Harley Quinn took only 2 short breaths and then fired 7 of the remaining 8 bullets into Joker's body. With every bullet fired, her expression became more like the Harley Quinn in Lee Chung-fung's mind. With a laugh that gradually grew louder and finally became hysterical, Harley Quinn suddenly turned around, hugged Lee Chung-fung tightly, and buried her head deeply in his shoulder. To be honest, Lee Chung-fung really enjoys this kind of treatment. If only the magnum with the last bullet left wasn't pressed against the back of his head. Dear Ms. Harley Quinn, how do you feel now? Are you going to send me away as well? Quote. Lee Chung-fung laughed awkwardly twice. It shouldn't be that serious. If you don't want me to send you away, then take responsibility for me. After saying that, Harley Quinn raised her head and kissed Lee Chung-fung hard on the corner of his mouth without any warning, leaving a rather fragrant bright red lip print. You make me even crazier. You are even more hateful than Joker. Quote. Pudding, Mr. J. Joker. The change in address reveals her transformation. Finally, a series of crazy yet charming laughter echoed in the cell. Chapter 7. There are a lot of people, right? But I also called people. Lee Chung-fung was stunned. Is this completed? He thought that he would only be officially successful after he returned to report to Nick Fury. The system prompt sound continues to sound. Quest-related characters: Ada Wong, Harley Quinn, Batman, Joker. Rewards are randomly selected. Closing square bracket. Obtain Ada Wong's undercover disguise. Open black lens bracket. Gain Harley Quinn's flexibility. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Gain Batman's willpower. Close black lens bracket. Obtain Dionysus factor. Among the characters in the lottery, those with a huge number of skills are more likely to pollute the prize pool. The first 3 are all pretty average. The only thing worth mentioning is Batman's willpower, which is enough to control the Green Lantern ring. But compared with the Dionysus factor, it seems ordinary. The most powerful ability among these 4 is probably Joker's Dionysus factor. The Savage, Vandal Savage, the Ninja Master, Ra's al Ghul, and the Claws of the Court of Owls are all well-known villains, and they are all just the owners of the degraded version of the Dionysus factor. Only Joker possesses the pure Dionysus factor, which is almost immortal and beyond the law. But no matter whether it is the degraded version or the pure version, the Dionysus factor will only provide the ability of self-healing, immortality and even resurrection from the dead, and will not enhance its physical fitness. Thinking of this, Lee Chung-fung couldn't help but reveal a smug smile. The first time you complete a mission, you will gain this life-saving self-healing ability. For someone whose biggest prize before traveling through time was 2 bags of soy sauce, this was simply incredible luck. But it seemed a bit vulgar to smile like that with the lip print that Harley Quinn had just left on him. Ahem, Ada, there's something wrong with your eyes. Quote. At the moment, it was very difficult for me to resist the urge to call the police. Quote. Stop it. You called the police in person and I answered the phone in person. What can you do to me? Besides, we still have problems to solve. Lee Chung-fung made a joke and walked out the door. This is Joker. Since he came to Arkham Asylum, it means that the organization that follows him like a shadow has also come out in full force. Quote. Jokers. Batman, who had been silent for a long time, spoke up. He looked at Harley Quinn with complicated eyes. If nothing unexpected happens, Joker's trip to rescue Harley Quinn is just a cover. His real intention is to capture and occupy the entire Arkham Asylum, right? Quote. Harley Quinn's face also changed, and then she pulled the trigger at Joker's body again. The last bullet was also delivered to the body. Then a series of click sounds interrupted everyone's thoughts. Magazine. Harley Quinn naturally reached out to Lee Chung-fung, no more bullets. Quote. Lee Chung-fung was not vague and stuffed all 3 magazines into her hands. But no one expected that after getting the bullet, she would hold the barrel of the magnum in reverse and swing the handle hard at Joker's head, which already had a hole in it. This makes my imagination even bigger. Once again. Joker, I used to admire you immensely. Harleen Quinzel has been reminding me from the beginning to the end, but I have always turned a blind eye. Harley Quinn calmly stared at Joker's broken head. I heard that you will be constantly resurrected. From now on, I will open such a big hole in your head again and again. Quote, okay, big sister, stop talking so hard. Let's solve the Joker's problem first, okay. Lee Chung-fung showed an anxious expression, but he was not panicked at all. As a former accomplice, you know how big the Joker's is. If we are not careful, we mortals will be solved. Quote, although Batman said nothing, he had the same idea. If you are not careful today, you may indeed have an accident. As we all know, although Ya will win a fight, he will lose a battle. If Batman cannot bring into play his money ability and planning ability, then he is just a representative of the limits of human beings. Fighting hand to hand with dozens of people might still be within the tolerance range. But when facing hundreds of armed enemies, the difficulty will increase exponentially, and you will suffer heavy losses if you are not careful. It is obvious that the so-called Justice League has not yet been formed in this world. Even Batman is so young that he has not yet formed the Bat family. Otherwise, based on his character, he would have definitely recruited people long ago. It is estimated that he is still in the stage of being unruly and fighting alone. But if the Jokers launch a full-scale attack on Arkham Asylum, then the fat guy's son will probably be safe. Lee Chung-fung turned around and pointed at the shivering Deputy Dean curled up on the sofa and said, you, carry Joker's body and follow us. Quote, me. Quote, what else? If you're willing to fight Joker's head on, I can take your responsibility. Quote, no. I'll carry you. Quote, when he thought of the crazy army like Joker's, he immediately changed his words. Carrying Joker's body is much better than dying directly. Very good, let's do it. Quote, after saying that, Lee Chung-fung took the lead and walked out of the door with Batman. Next came Ada, who looked calm, and Harley Quinn, who looked excited as if she was going to a party. Finally, it was the pale-faced traitor who carried Joker's body. Lee Chung-fung loosened his tie, unbuttoned his shirt cuffs, and flexed his wrists, looking at Batman and asked with a playful smile, how about it, Batman, are you confident that you can break through the siege? Quote, are you too relaxed? Are you not worried at all? Quote, it's okay, I'm pretty good at fighting. Shit, so many people. Quote, they arrived at the patient's activity hall, which was empty when they came before, but now there is a constant stream of people wearing Joker makeup and clothes with Joker elements pouring in. As long as you pass through this place, you will reach the place where critically ill patients are held, which is also where the super-villains are held. Arkham Asylum's defense system has been completely paralyzed by the Joker's full-scale invasion, and the key to the intensive care ward has been taken by the woman in charge. A high ponytail with highlights, bangs at the same level as the eyebrows, and a simple Joker makeup with black and blush as the main colors. The purple three-quarter sleeves and ripped purple socks are the classic Joker color combination. Funny point, Alexis. The second-generation ugly girl, Harley Quinn's replacement. Unlike the crazy and extroverted Harley, Funny seems to be a calm and reserved assassin. Especially the double-edged dagger in his hand that was shining with cold light. That fat guy, leave Mr. J behind. Quote, impossible. Lee Chung-fung looked at the information on his personal terminal, then stepped forward and rejected Xiaotian's request. Joker is the most vicious criminal in Gotham City and even in the entire America. Even if he is shot dead, the body must be handed over to the FBI for disposal. Quote, how about this? If you hand over Mr. J's body, I can let you leave safely. Xiaotian's fake smile looked a little eerie, it's just a corpse. Quote, is there any difference between returning a corpse that can be resurrected from the dead and letting a tiger go back to the mountains? Quote, how could you? Never mind. Xiaotian waved the dagger in his hand and ordered, tear them to pieces. Including the bat. Quote, you are crazy. Why do you keep thinking about attacking public officials? Lee Chung-fung shook his head, puzzled. I can give you a chance now. If you surrender immediately, the FBI can let you go. But if you insist on resisting, I will kill you without hesitation. Quote, Batman looked at the Joker's members in front of him indifferently and asked in a low voice. Do you think we can take down the entire Jokers with just a few of us? Even though there are only a few dozen of us here, there are at least a few hundred or even more outside. Quote, as the patron saint of Gotham City's Proxima Midnight, I don't believe you don't have a backup plan. Otherwise, you can't even deal with the Jokers who lost their Joker, and you don't need to mix with them anymore. Li Changfeng said frivolously. Seeing the other party's expression getting colder and harder, he continued, but you should save your backup plan to deal with other criminals in Gotham City. Let me deal with it this time. Quote, sir, are you going to take on so many people with your bare hands? Quote, Ada took 2 quick steps forward and tried to grab his sleeve but was a step too late. Li Changfeng walked up to the increasingly violent Jokers, opened his arms, and then turned his head to look at Ada Wong. Ada, don't forget that we are FBI agents, legitimate public servants. Quote, we have someone above us. Quote, as he spoke, he glanced at the terminal again and tapped it a few times. Hello, hello, didn't you say we're here? Quote, as soon as he finished speaking, the dome of Arkham Asylum was instantly blown to pieces. There wasn't even any gravel, only flying ashes. Then a red and gold mecha descended from the sky, bringing sunlight through the flying ashes. Good afternoon, my friends. I heard that someone was entangled by the crazy Jokers in the circus. Chapter 8, Stark, the Ancient Overlord. Although Li Changfeng looked calm and composed, he was actually a little shocked in his heart. Why is it Iron Man who came? Although when he asked Nick Fury for reinforcements through his personal terminal, he did ask him to find some people with strong combat power, otherwise hundreds of people would not be enough to handle the situation. But isn't this combat power a bit too strong? He didn't want to tear down Arkham Asylum. Tony Stark, why are you here? Quote, the smile made his eyes widen. A Batman who was not prepared in advance was still within the tolerance range, but now there is a playboy who can operate a flying mecha. This is not good. Xiaodian glared at Li Changfeng with hatred as he looked very smug. Judging from the situation, Iron Man should be the support that the FBI agent had found. Damn it, retreat. Quote, humph, you want to escape. Do you think Arkham Asylum is a place where you can come and go as you please? Or do you think our FBI will let a violent group of several hundred people leave? Li Changfeng showed a smile as bright as the sun. Mr. Stark, you can do whatever you want and make the Joker's troops outside lose their combat effectiveness. Definitely, I will not hold you accountable even if you use heavy hands. Quote, I'm not some murderer. Quote, Tony Stark looked at the young Republic agent, muttered, and flew out. Since he came to support, he would naturally follow orders. A few hundred armed thugs were a piece of cake for him. Now, the situation of attack and defense is different. Li Changfeng and Batman didn't show any hesitation at all, and rushed into the crowd like a tiger into a flock of sheep. Following closely behind them was Harley Quinn, who ignored the Joker's members who were waving their weapons at her, dodged the attacks nimbly, and chased after the Jokers who had already started to run away. Although she has broken up with Joker, but she was disgusted with the woman who had taken her place. Bang, bang, 2 shots hit the door handle, forcing Xiaodian to turn around and face the other party. Harley Quinn, it seems you still can't forget Mr. J. Quote, it doesn't matter whether I am obsessed with Joker or not. What matters is that no one can replace me. Quote, Harley Quinn showed an inappropriately cute smile, which formed a huge amounts of contrast with the huge pistol in her hand. Just when she was about to pounce on and teach this little bitch who occupied her position a lesson, she didn't expect a pair of hands to suddenly pull back the back collar of her clothes. Don't stop me. Quote, nonsense. You put your pistol aside and rush up to fight a man with a dagger. What kind of psychedelic operation is that? Quote, after Li Changfeng pulled her back, he pushed her behind him. After the fight just now, more than half of the dozens of Joker's members in the hall were lying on the ground groaning in pain. And Ida didn't even take any action, she just stood behind and watched Batman bully the weak ones. Ms. Smile, I recommend that you surrender. After all, I'm not Batman, and I don't have a no-kill rule. If a criminal like you who has committed many serious crimes resists, I will choose to shoot you directly. Believe me, I won't hesitate. Quote, Batman quickly killed the last few people, and then as explosions and screams continued outside, no one spoke in the hall. The silence was so quiet that it made people tremble. I surrender. Quote, I tried to smile, but found that I couldn't laugh anymore. Especially when being stared at by this guy Batman. In just a few minutes, they went from having a complete advantage to being completely annihilated. Ellipsis. When the FBI field team and Gotham Police Department officers found Jack Lawson's kidnapped son in an abandoned factory in southern Gotham, they rushed to Arkham Asylum without stopping. James Gordon, the highest commander of the Gotham Police Department's field operations, was confused by the scene when he led everyone into the gate of the asylum. The worry on his face instantly turned into astonishment. In addition to the Joker's members all over the ground, the most conspicuous ones are the man wearing a steel battle suit and Batman. Before he could say anything, a hand patted his shoulder. When he turned around, he saw an ID card blocking his view. The world's FBI Level 7 agent, Lee Chung-fung. Quote, yes, I was the one who issued the joint search and rescue mission between your Gotham Police Department and the FBI field team. Quote, so, you guys took care of Joker and his Jokers. Quote, what? Don't you trust me? Lee Chung-fung smiled. Even in another world, the relationship between the FBI and local law enforcement agencies is average. Even if you don't trust the FBI, you should be able to trust the Bat, right? Quote, he pointed at Batman who was chatting happily with Tony Stark who had taken off his helmet. Gordon smacked his lips twice and looked at the overly young Level 7 agent again. As a senior detective, he is now the de facto head of the Gotham Police Department. It is only a matter of time before he becomes the director. Therefore, he knows the hierarchy of the FBI much better than ordinary detectives. There is absolutely no problem in commanding the Gotham Police Department across units with the authority of a Level 7 agent. He waved his hand, signaling the officers of the Gotham Police Department to get to work and arrest all the thugs lying on the ground unable to resist. There is no need to even escort him to the police station. He can be directly detained in Arkham Asylum, which is much better than a detention center. And this guy, Lee Chung-fung saw the police officers start to act, and by the way, he grabbed the trembling traitor Jack Lawson. The Joker's people can be locked up in Arkham Asylum, but this guy doesn't deserve to be locked up with these crazy people. Quote, but he can't continue to be the vice dean. Wait, is that Harley Quinn? Quote, Gordon's heart skipped a beat and he subconsciously drew his pistol again. Harley Quinn was originally a reserve agent of the FBI, and now she has recovered. I have been ordered to take her out of the hospital and resume her duties. Quote, healed. How dare you say that? Gordon wiped a cold sweat after taking a look at Harley Quinn who was obviously still a little crazy. Then they handcuffed the fat traitor's hands behind his back and escorted him to the police car. He still thought it would be better to leave this place as soon as possible. If I spend too much time with this group of people, things will always feel weird. He was not interested in these strange tight uniforms. Nice to meet you, Mr. Stark. Shouldn't you be in New York? How did you get to Arkham so quickly? Quote, it seems you are Agent Lee Chung-fung that Nick Fury always mentions. Nice to meet you, Tony Stark said without any airs. It's because I happened to be in Metropolis recently, so I can come so quickly. Quote, as we all know, Metropolis is separated from Gotham by a river. But why did you go to the Metropolis? Confused Lee Chung-fung suddenly remembered the gossip he saw at the beginning. You didn't come to the Metropolis just to flirt with Lois, did you? Quote, after all, Miss Lois is the first woman to be rude to me, which makes her particularly special. Quote, Mr. Stark, are you a domineering boss who popped out of some old novel? Oh, you really are a domineering boss. Lee Chung-fung rubbed his forehead, but didn't anyone say that your words just now were greasy? Quote, yes, Miss Lois said so too. Tony Stark laughed heartlessly and stretched out his right hand towards Lee Chung-fung, just call me Tony from now on. Chapter 9 The closest encounter with my daughter in my life. After exchanging contact information with Iron Man, Tony Stark, the other party flew towards Metropolis. It seems you haven't given up yet, Teacher Tony. Lee Chung-fung shook his head, hoping that this guy would give up pursuing Lois before he angered some Kansas redneck. Otherwise, his mecha would not be enough for that person to dismantle. Tony Stark disappeared from the public eye for quite a while. It turns out that he was making this thing. Quote, "Why? As a billionaire who also sells his romantic talents, do you feel like you've been overtaken?" Quote, "Mechas are simply putting the cart before the horse. I have no interest in them. Unless." Batman did not pick up Lee Chung-fung's words, but sighed and continued, "When I meet an opponent that I cannot defeat no matter what, I will consider it." Quote, "I just told you that I know your true identity. Wasn't your reaction too calm?" Quote, "Didn't you hint at this when we first spoke?" Quote, 2. Quote, Lee Chung-fung and Batman stood side by side, looking at the perimeter of the asylum that was blown to pieces by Tony Stark, without saying a word. But Ada and Harley were shocked when they heard the conversation between the two. Batman is Bruce Wayne. Quote, "I have known Bruce Wayne for at least 10 years. But I haven't found any traces of cobweb. Tisk, I have to admit that in the field of lunatics, my qualifications are much shallower than his." Quote, seeing that the cleanup work was almost finished, Lee Chung-fung pointed to the body of Joker at Ada's feet. "Bat, you better take this piece of rotten meat away." Quote, "Let me take it away. Are you sure?" Quote, "What else? I don't think the FBI would care that much about a corpse. Although I know he can be resurrected, the FBI won't believe it. So if I leave it to you, at least you will be 120% alert and imprison him forever." Lee Chung-fung said with a smile, "This can also be regarded as making a friend, dear Mr. Bruce Wayne." Quote, ellipsis. "When I got off the Airbus again, I was standing on the land of Washington." However, all the agents in the hangar turned their eyes towards Lee Chung-fung intentionally or unintentionally. Why are they all staring at you? Are you the type of person that your colleagues hate? Are you being bullied in the workplace like America? Quote, "Big sister, can you be a little more self-aware? They are obviously looking at you." Quote, Lee Chung-fung looked at Harley Quinn, who was puzzled. The skin that is too white due to chemical rinsing and the red and blue ends of her hair create an extreme color collision. Even if you don't know that she is Joker's former partner, you have to take a second look at her. Don't think that FBI agents find strange things commonplace. In fact, the majority of the FBI's agents are clerical staff who have never been out on field missions. At this time, a tall woman trotted up to the crowd. "Sir, I'm Level 4 Agent Ingrid Hannigan. From today on, I will be responsible for the logistical support of Team Stars. Quote, I hope we can have a pleasant cooperation, Agent Hannigan." Lee Chung-fung shook hands with Hannigan and raised his doubts. "You are talking about the STAR team, are you referring to us?" Quote, "Yes, Director Nick Fury just confirmed the team code name 10 minutes ago." Quote, "Tisk, the name is so casual." Quote, "Please follow me. The director is already waiting for you in the strategic analysis room." Quote, under Hannigan's guidance, they arrived at the familiar 31st floor. Nick Fury still had his back to them, but he turned as soon as the door opened. Although there was still no expression on the surface, Lee Chung-fung could see the urgency and nervousness in the black salted egg at a glance. "Harley Quinn, you've been in a lot of trouble lately, but you can still clear your record." Quote, "Tisk tisk tisk, Mr. Fury, you are still so strict." Quote, Harley was probably the most relaxed one among the group. He found a table and sat down casually, then started chatting with Fury. "If I were really strict enough, I shouldn't have allowed you to apply to be transferred to Arkham Asylum to study the most dangerous lunatics." Quote, "Although, I am now one of the most dangerous lunatics in your mouth, teacher." Quote, "That's okay. People who are too sane can't do our job." Quote, Nick Fury waved his hand, ending the topic, and then turned his attention to Lee Chung-fung. "You did a good job this time, but wasn't the noise a bit too loud?" Quote, "Do you mean to shoot Joker to death, or to expose your secret weapon?" Lee Chung-fung smiled. "If it's the former, I think I did nothing wrong. If it's the latter, how long do you think Stark can keep it secret? A week? Or half a month?" Quote, "I mean, why the bats were disturbed." Quote, "Does the FBI expect him to hang on the top of the cave without moving when they are operating in the bats' territory?" Quote, after Lee Chung-fung said this, even Nick Fury was speechless. Quote, "In short, you have perfectly adapted to the job I want to assign to you." After Harleen Quinzel completes the mental evaluation and officially joins the company, you will officially start work. Quote, Harley Quinn frowned slightly when she heard this, and was not too happy with the name, Black Boiled Egg. I am just Harley Quinn now. Harleen Quinzel is just a part of me. Quote, as long as you're happy. Nick Fury nodded, and then gave an order, Agent Ada, take Harley Quinn, to change clothes first. This Arkham Asylum hospital gown should not be worn by an agent. Quote, yes, Chief. Quote, Ada Wong nodded and pushed and dragged Harley, who was shouting, I will never wear a uniform, out of the tactical analysis room. But when they passed in front of Lee Chung-fung, the two women seemed to be competing with each other. Ada's fingertips brushed across his knuckles, and Harley left a sentence that made Lee Chung-fung's tailbone shiver. See you later, my pudding. Quote, shit, not only did his madness not get cured, but he also became a transference. Although he had anticipated this when he persuaded Harley Quinn to shoot. After the two left, Lee Chung-fung wiped his sweat, turned around and saw Black Braised Egg sighing and almost laughed out loud. What are you laughing at? Quote, every family has its own problems. It's not easy to be a father. Quote, instead of teasing your boss, why don't you just report on your work? Quote, speaking of work, I really need to have a good talk with you. Lee Chung-fung smiled and moved closer to He Lu Dan, whispering, how many people like Stark do you know, or how much do you know about them? Quote, although it's a bit rude, he has to get a stronger ability. Now that we have the Dionysus factor, we cannot stand still. This is not something a level 7 agent should know. Quote, if you really want me to get this done, throw aside our America headquarters separate management routine. I'm not here to follow the rules and serve as your subordinate. You don't need a team that follows the rules. Otherwise, the first team member will be a patient in Arkham Asylum. Quote, I was right. You were born to do this. Black Egg nodded. I will give you my authorization code later. You can leave now, Agent. Quote, okay, then you can just stay here and be sad. Halfway through the walk, Lee Chung-fung suddenly turned around and asked, what exactly does Harley Quinn mean to you? Quote, as soon as he finished speaking, Hyludan glared at him fiercely, with two big words clearly written in his cold eye. Don't ask. Quote, Lee Chung-fung shrugged, turned and left the strategic analysis room. Only Black Sauce Egg stayed alone for a long time, and suddenly muttered to himself. Harley Quinn is the closest thing to a daughter I have ever had in my life. Chapter 10, Strange Cohabitation. The mental evaluation of Harley Quinn took quite a long time. After all, she is a model graduate of Arkham, a place full of talented people. The final result of the identification is totally normal. You Americans have a very all-encompassing definition of normal. Lee Chung-fung held the FBI's report in his hand and looked at Ada Wong with a fake smile. If Harley Quinn hadn't been standing in front of me, I might have believed it. Quote, maybe it's just like what the director said, people who are too normal can't do our job. Quote, I really believed your lies. Quote, Lee Chung-fung rolled his eyes, but it was not something he could not accept. After all, in this world with countless supernatural and even super-dimensional powers, superheroes, supervillains and all those involved in these mysterious powers are more or less abnormal. What? You have special abilities but want to live a normal life. The fact that you have such thoughts means that you are abnormal, right? Normal people should live a normal life. Special people also have the life they deserve. Do not interfere with each other. Only idiots care about a ridiculous conclusion written on a piece of paper. Harley Quinn stretched and jumped down from the comfortable sofa bed in the mental clinic. I really miss this kind of place. I used to sit opposite, wearing flesh-colored stockings, crossing my legs sexy to control other people's thoughts. Quote, talk about flesh-colored stockings. No way. The moment you said the word, control the mind, your psychiatrist license should be revoked. Lee Chung-fung wiped the sweat off his forehead, glanced at the terminal, and found that it was already 10 minutes past the end of the workday. He turned around and left without any reluctance. It's time to get off work. See you two beauties tomorrow. Quote, having said that, Lee Chung-fung hurriedly walked out of the medical department's door and quickly got into the elevator. When he turned around, he saw Harley Quinn and Ada Wong following him closely. Why are you following me? Quote, "Oh tilde pudding, you are my direct supervisor now, and you are also my temporary guardian appointed by the director, so who else can I follow if not you? Besides, does the FBI seem to have single dormitories for its employees? And do I, a mental patient who has just been discharged from the hospital, seem to have a place to live? Since you brought me back, you must take responsibility." Quote, Harley Quinn said this with confidence, but this is indeed the situation. "What about you?" Lee Chung-fung turned around and asked Ada Wong again. "She is a mental patient with no social resources, but you are a level 4 agent of the FBI. After this incident, you should be promoted to level 5. The salary and benefits should be good, right?" Quote, "Dear Captain, first of all, I also want to get off work. Of course, I have to take the elevator to leave this building." Ada Wong threw a moist little wink at Lee Chung-fung, and the tail of her narrow eyes turned slightly red. "Secondly, my house has been renovated recently. I have been staying in a nearby hotel for the past few days. How can I let go of the free accommodation now? The salary of an agent is not enough for me to squander in the hotel every day." Quote, "Are you so sure that my house can accommodate 3 people? Quote, "It's okay. The 3 of us can squeeze together. How about you sleep in the middle?" Ada Wong teased again, and covered Harley Quinn's mouth as she was about to say something weird. "Just kidding. Everything you have in America was handled by director Nick Fury. Of course I know you live in a 400 square meter flat." Quote, "Fuck, you want to hit me, right?" Quote, "I can't help it. I've recently fallen in love with a multi-function grappling gun made by Stark Company. I have to save up money to buy it. By the way, Captain, didn't you have a good chat with Tony Stark? Can you help me get a discount?" Quote, "Your comments about salary and benefits have completely reduced the status of FBI agents to the level of street police officers." Quote, ellipsis. Lee Chung-fung finally compromised and walked towards home with the 2 ladies with completely different styles. Along the way, he kept observing the Washington, D.C. of this hybrid universe. All he could say was that America. That's it. Apart from the fact that the streets are filled with people of different skin colors, it's no different from the Republic. There were also drunkards lying on the roadside flower beds and vomiting, and there were also unlicensed vendors who quickly ran away when they saw the urban management pushing their snack carts. After treating the 2 ladies to a surprisingly authentic hot pot on the way, Lee Chung-fung finally felt like he was off work. To be honest, a few hours ago he was confronting one of the most morbid and dangerous villains, but now he can happily eat some spicy food while watching Ada Wong, who can't eat spicy food, keep sticking out her flexible little tongue. "I also went to the mall and bought a large number of daily necessities." In fact, no matter in his past life or this life, he is a pure bachelor, and he only has a pair of slippers and a set of dishes and chopsticks in his 400 square meter apartment. We can't let the 2 ladies stay at home wearing old clothes or just being naked, right? Even if he is happy, the other 2 may not be happy. Especially Ada Wong. Although she seems to be good at flirting, except for a few deliberate actions, she always covers her neckline and subconsciously maintains social distance. This woman's sense of proportion is damn fascinating. That being said, what's going on with you 2? Quote, Lee Chung-fung was lying on the bed, his eyes wide open like bells, his hands folded on his chest and abdomen, looking like a mummy. Because the joke Ada Wong made a few hundred words ago came true. Now 2 ladies with completely different styles were lying on both sides of him. Although his bed was big enough, some touching was inevitable. "Oh tilde pudding, I'm a mental patient. Do you think you can let me be alone in an unfamiliar environment?" Quote, "Sister, I saw you were quite happy in the ward of Arkham Asylum. You didn't have to worry about anything except eating, drinking and having fun. I want this kind of life." Lee Chung-fung complained, but he knew that he couldn't persuade this mentally ill person, so he turned to look at Ada Wong on the other side. "Sister Wong, what's wrong with you? Were you infected by Harley Quinn?" Quote, "No, I made a mistake." The mysterious and seductive beauty Ada Wong showed an extremely rare annoyance. "When I ordered the furniture, I actually filled in the wrong quantity. How come I only ordered 1 bed?" Quote, Then you go out and sleep on the couch. Quote, you let a woman sleep on the couch. Quote, then I'll go out and sleep on the couch. Quote, a guest who is staying overnight lets the host sleep on the sofa. Quote, then go to sleep, you have to go to work tomorrow. Chapter 11 Westchester County Bow Incident. The next morning, at the FBI headquarters, Ingrid Hannigan was waiting in the hall for Lee Chung-fung and others to arrive. Starting today, the STAR team has its own exclusive office location. Yes, the office location. Don't think that the job of an FBI agent is to fight crime all over the country. The clerical work they have to do is no less than that of an ordinary police station, and may even be more. The truth of some events is not suitable for the vast majority of ordinary people to know, so it is necessary to write multiple different task logs, one true and one false, or even one true and multiple false. Many agents who have just joined the FBI may feel frustrated about the job for this reason. Therefore, over the years, the retention rate of newly recruited agents has been less than 40%, and more than half of them leave for this reason. It was not until 9 o'clock in the morning that Lee Chung-fung and the two royal sisters Ada Wong and Harley Quinn finally arrived. Agent Ingrid, why are you standing in the lobby? Have you been transferred to the first floor to be the front desk receptionist? Quote, Agent Lee Chung-fung's mouth. A vein on Ingrid Hannigan's forehead bulged slightly, representing anger, but she still maintained a decent smile on her face. Because the director has arranged a new office location for the STAR team, I am here to greet you all. Quote, new office location, then let's go. Quote, Lee Chung-fung nodded, followed Ingrid Hannigan into the elevator, and watched her press the button for the 32nd floor. Why did you come here together? Did you meet on the way? Quote, haha, Ingrid, you have no idea what I went through last night. Lee Chung-fung sneered, these two women don't want me to sleep at all. Quote, as soon as the voice fell, the two queens coughed twice in embarrassment, but immediately began to explain with a normal expression. Don't blame me, Lee Chung-fung. You know me. I'm an elite field agent. It's normal for me to have some muscle memory for emergency reflexes. Quote, don't blame me, Lee Chung-fung, you know me well. I'm an elite mental patient. It's normal for my body and mind to be out of control. Quote, awesome, otherwise I could be a bad woman. It highlights that as long as I am thick-skinned enough, I can pretend that nothing happened. Hey, Ingrid, please give me some justice, there is no such person in the world. What are you doing? Quote, write a report letter to the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The captain and members of the STAR team gathered for sex on the first day of their formation, Quote, Harley Quinn put her hands over the surveillance camera. King Ada covered Ingrid's mouth and blocked her from saying that outrageous word. Lee Chung-fung was quick to take Ingrid's personal terminal and withdraw the message, call. Quote, the three of them breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. It would be extremely embarrassing if I was reported due to misunderstanding on my first day at work. Listen carefully, Ingrid. Even though those two women had serious problems with their language and expressing ability, your understanding of ability is also quite distorted. Quote, last night, I, a good man, took in two homeless women. There was only one bed in my house, and I was forced to sleep in the same bed by the two women. Then, due to muscle reflex, we hit each other several times. As a result, my whole body was in pain until around 5 in the morning when I could barely fall asleep. Do you understand? Quote, Quote, let go, Ada. Quote, King Ada readily let go of the hand that was covering Ingrid's mouth. You are very skilled at covering the surveillance camera. Quote, you're not bad either. You knew to cover Ingrid's mouth the first time. Quote, hey, isn't this just some experience gained from covering your mouth? Quote, the two royal sisters praised each other for a few words, and there was actually a hint of mutual admiration in their eyes. Just then, the elevator stopped and the door slowly opened. We have arrived at the 32nd floor. The director has specially approved that the 32nd floor of the headquarters, except for Director Nick Fury's office, will become the exclusive office location of the STAR Squad. Quote, the moment Ingrid stepped out of the elevator, she regained her professional demeanor as a logistics staff member and began to introduce the new office location to the three people. Just as they were about to sit down, the door of the director's office at the end opened, and a black one-eyed boiled egg stood there. The amusement park is just around the corner. Come in for a meeting. Quote. After saying that, he walked into the office. The four of them looked at each other and had no choice but to obey the order and go into the house for the meeting. As a civil servant, not holding meetings is like being soulless. Fortunately, Nick Fury is not the kind of leader who can talk nonsense for 59 minutes in an hour-long meeting. It can even be said that it is too straightforward. Someone in Westchester County, New York, has witnessed the appearance of zombies and Bo, but there have been no reports of casualties. The Westchester County Sheriff's Office has officially asked us for help. Nick Fury said as he pulled up huge amounts of data on the three-dimensional projection. Ada, you are our FBI expert in dealing with Bo, so I'll leave this mission to you. Quote. Yes, Chief. Ada Wong was very serious while working. After browsing all the video and text materials of this incident expressionlessly, he turned around and began to explain. The zombie group is a common T-virus infected body, but they have been wandering in a fixed range. Obviously, someone has used special means to control these zombies. And the unknown Bo should be a new model of tyrant. It looks like a new model that integrates the characteristics of Tracker and Ivan Tyrant. The number may be a problem. There are already 4 in the video material alone. The actual situation may be more. Quote. Ding, the mission, Biochemical Madman, has been released. Mission brief. Young Captain, this is the first battle of the team. Clear all zombies and bows, and find out the mastermind behind the scenes. Sure enough, after King Ada explained the mission details in detail, the system indeed released the mission. But Li Changfeng would not be so easily fooled by the system. Just like the previous mission, the purpose was to persuade Harley Quinn to surrender, but in fact, it was to anger Joker and the entire Jokers. In this mixed universe, who knows how many weird characters will come in. Ada, this Bo thing should be completely solved with hot weapons, right? Quote. Yes, Bo is a simple task compared to those superheroes or supervillains. It can be solved as long as a single soldier has sufficient firepower. But the difficulty of this mission is to find the criminal who can control the zombies and BOW. After all, Bo will not appear out of thin air. Every time it is definitely accompanied by a conspiracy. Quote. Are the weapons reserves on the Airbus sufficient? Quote. That's definitely enough. At worst, we can use the Quinn jet on the Airbus to do a saturation bombing. Quote. Then I have no problem. Quote. Li Changfeng clapped his hands, stood up and walked out. Team Star, it's time to set off. Quote. I have to say, Li Changfeng thought he looked pretty handsome from behind, but Nick Fury's next sentence made him put on a mask of pain. Why rush? There are some things in this mission that I am very interested in, so I will temporarily join the start team, Captain Li Changfeng. Quote. Damn, carrying out tasks with the leader is the most annoying thing. Chapter 12. Nick Fury is brainwashed. This mission wasn't supposed to be a big deal. Quote. Oh, yes. Quote. But the area involved is so special that I have to go there myself. Quote. Human beings. Quote. Don't feel pressured, and don't go out of your way to protect me. Although I'm old, I'm still one of the best agents in the FBI. Quote. Life. Quote. Did you not hear what I said at all? Quote. Nick Fury glanced at Li Changfeng, who was extremely perfunctory, and knew that this guy had something wrong. Is it so obvious? Li Changfeng sighed and turned off the crosstalk in his headphones. I'm not saying anything bad about you, boss. You are the head of our American General Administration. Have you ever heard an old saying in our republic? A gentleman does not stand under a dangerous wall. The entire American General Administration still needs you to take command. Listen to me, we haven't flown out of the special zone yet. I'll find a place to drop you off. How about you take a taxi back to the office? Quote. You really don't want to go on a mission with me. Nick Fury didn't understand. You don't need to treat me as the director. I'm just a member of the start team temporarily transferred here. I'll obey your orders in everything. Quote. Do you believe this yourself? Quote. Li Changfeng stood up, walked to the bar, poured a glass of evil and decadent carbonated drink, and drank it all in one gulp. Yes, there is a bar in the lounge area on this Airbus. These agents really knew how to enjoy themselves in the past. Okay Fury, I won't tease you, but you have to tell me what's so special about this place. Quote. The real purpose is revealed. After laying the groundwork for so long, Lee Chung-fung finally asked the question he most wanted to know the answer to. What on earth could have happened that could have made Nick Fury, the director of the American General Agency, risk his own life to go to the front line? Lee Chung-fung was very curious. But the problem is, I don't know. Nick Fury hesitated for a moment, and finally said, I clearly have no impression of this area, my memory is blank, but there is always an inexplicable sense of familiarity surrounding me, as if my memory was forcibly erased by someone. Is there such a thing? Wait, are we going to Westchester County? Lee Chung-fung was stunned. He seemed to have thought of something and picked up the terminal to call Ada Wong. Ada, come to the rest area immediately. After hearing Lee Chung-fung's call, Ada Wong rushed over from the weapons room with Harley Quinn in a short while. Ada, you compiled the information about Westchester. Can you tell me if there is an ability school in this place? Yes, there is a Xavier Ability School. Wong Ada didn't even need to look through the information, he just thought about it for a moment and nodded to confirm. Fuck, it's really them. Lee Chung-fung tapped his forehead and said to Nick Fury, I can confirm that there is nothing wrong with your feelings, Fury. You have indeed been brainwashed. What? Nick Fury, Harley Quinn and Ada Wong exclaimed at the same time. What a shocking piece of news. Is the director of the American agency brainwashed? This is outrageous. Want to brainwash Nick Fury? Harley Quinn was the first to react after she exclaimed, and even showed her side as a psychology expert. Impossible. Let's not talk about whether we can catch Nick Fury without anyone noticing. Just considering his willpower, ordinary hypnotic ability brainwashing is simply not going to work. It will only be successful with the help of some machines and equipment, and it will take quite a long time. But the FBI remotely checks my physical indicators and confirms my location every 8 hours through my dedicated terminal, and there has never been an accident. Nick Fury continued to explain, so the time is not right. There is nothing wrong with your analysis, but there is an evolutionary branch of humans in the world called mutants. You have been brainwashed by a mutant with mental abilities. What? Mutant? Don't tell me you don't have any information about mutant in your memory. Lee Chung-fung was a little shocked. The director of the General Bureau of the World Republic was Wanzhongxia, that is, the Five Dao brothers. As the director of one of the 5 major FBI agencies, Nick Fury didn't know. The director of our Republic General Bureau is 5 completely synchronized quintuplets who share all states. Don't tell me you didn't see him at the World FBI Summit. Damn, it seems that you are right. I have indeed been brainwashed by mutant, and the brainwashing was directed at mutant. I seriously suspect that you have done something against the human race, so they erased the concept of mutant from your memory in order to protect the race. Nick Fury thought carefully, could it be that when the flying aircraft carrier was first developed, all the information of Americans was collected in the database for monitoring and intelligence acquisition? Fuck, you're really bold. You're monitoring every single person in America. Aren't you afraid that those unexposed superheroes or supervillains will give you trouble to protect themselves? Oh, by the way, you've been brainwashed. Lee Chung-fung mocked Nick Fury mercilessly, ha 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 ha. You must have caught a great white shark. Fuck it. I'm not planning on doing anything to them. If it were you, would you be willing to hang a sword of Damocles around your neck? Airbus soon came to Westchester County. Lee Chung-fung directly chose to park the Airbus near the area where Bo was found in the report. Regardless of whether it was Professor X or other psychic abilities of Xavier's Ability School who brainwashed Nick Fury, their lair was there and they would not run away. However, the zombies and bows that appeared inexplicably in this area are a real threat. They are now placed here by the people behind the scenes, but that doesn't mean they will always be here. Once the control is loosened, the entire Westchester County will be in danger. So when the Star Squad and Nick Fury, who was temporarily serving as a team member, got off the Airbus, they were already fully armed. Lee Chung-fung said that he did underestimate the weapons reserve of this Airbus. Individual heat ray rifles, light pulse blasters, sonic grenades. Have your American weapons reached such a sci-fi level? Quote, what the hell are you talking about? These are either trials or prototypes from the Sandbox Research Institute, or they are made from fresh technology from Tony Stark. They can't be mass-produced at all. Quote, okay, stop explaining. Next time you get something good, just don't forget your favorite star team. Quote, Li Changfeng turned on the safety of the light pulse blaster in his hand and rushed towards the group of zombies not far away. Team Star, attack. Chapter 13 Wesker. Times have changed. T-virus zombies are indeed very dangerous when their firepower is insufficient. But with enough firepower, it's just a pile of slow-moving rotten meat. Therefore, the clearance speed of the zombies on the periphery is very fast. This is when Harley Quinn is smashing around with her beloved baseball bat. I'm really curious, what is the material of your baseball bat? How come there is no damage at all after hitting so many bones? Quote, Li Changfeng looked at the crazy queen who was going in and out of the zombies with a baseball bat in her hand, and couldn't help but complain to Nick Fury. Oh, it's made of adamantium, a leftover material from a shuttered weapons program from the last century. Quote, Nick Fury explained it calmly. Are you being a little too doting on her? Quote, adamantium. You are really willing to spend a lot of money. Being too indulgent towards your daughter can cause problems. And she is a mentally ill daughter. Stop complaining, look over there. Nick Fury pointed to the distance. We've made such a big noise here, but the tyrant over there didn't react at all, and is firmly guarding that position. Quote, is there a makeshift house among those tyrants? Quote, it's not very clear, but it will become clear after we get rid of the tyrant. Quote, after the two men advanced into the range according to the two-man tactical formation, they began to pour fire on the tyrants. All we can say is that these limited edition sci-fi level weapons are far more powerful than contemporary conventional thermal weapons. Even these unknown models of tyrants did not last long. When the 13th tyrant fell under the firepower of the two men, they came to this house full of futuristic technology. Listen up, everyone inside. The FBI asked me to tell you something. As long as you surrender, the FBI will guarantee you wealth and glory, and lots of money. Quote, where did you learn this line from? Quote, a classic skit from the Spring Festival Gala of the Republic of China. Quote, stop being funny. Quote, Li Changfeng looked at the speechless Nick Fury, shrugged his shoulders, and melted half of the door with one shot. He was just about to rush forward and kick the door, and deliver some classic FBI line, but the remaining half of the door was blown away by a force from the inside. A man with blonde hair and wearing a black windbreaker and sunglasses walked out from the shadows inside the door. I can only play with you for 7 minutes at most. Quote, the pretentious guy with slicked back hair started out with these words. As soon as Li Changfeng took a look, he knew who this gentleman was. Albert Wesker. One of the big bosses in the biochemical series, and also the boss who died the most miserable death. But in this integrated universe, he is still alive. I just don't know what his current status is. Has he developed the Ouroboros virus? Albert Wesker, one of the biggest biochemical lunatics in the world, disappeared 5 years ago, but he unexpectedly appeared in America again. Quote, biochemical madman. Ordinary people simply cannot understand my ideals. Quote, Wesker shook his head, and the next moment, he appeared in front of Nick Fury almost instantly. With his terrifying speed, he shot the heat ray rifle out of Nick Fury's hand before he could react. Then he punched Nick Fury, causing him to vomit gastric juice mixed with blood and fall to the ground. It's the strongest version of Wesker. A few beads of sweat instantly condensed on Li Changfeng's forehead. Damn, even though he died from rocket launchers and lava in the original novel, his ability truly surpassed human limits, and not just a little bit. The two big sisters are still cleaning up the mess and are not aware of the situation here. Moreover, even if they come, it may not be of much use. Republican. Is the American Bureau communicating so deeply with the Republic Bureau now? It's completely different from when I was still in the FBI. Quote, Wesker's words made Li Changfeng feel a chill in his heart. Fuck, how come he is also a product of the FBI? You guys at the America headquarters specifically create villains to make things difficult for us, right? Divine Gold. Do you like to show off your experience? Quote, Li Chengfeng simply threw his gun to the ground and pulled out the bayonet from his waist. If you can't hit the target, even the most powerful thermal weapon is just a fire stick. It is better to leave it behind than to be disarmed. There are still 6 minutes left. I'll give you a chance to challenge me. Quote, after saying that, Wesker took action again, and Li Chengfeng was forced to start fighting him in close combat. At the moment of the fight, Li Chengfeng received 2 pieces of news, one good and one bad. The bad news is that he has to be hit 10 times before he can successfully counterattack once. The good news is that the Dionysus factor's self-healing speed can keep up with the speed of injury. Fortunately, it was only Wesker. Although he was fast, the damage did not exceed the limit he could bear. If it was a tough guy like Thor, he would have been on the resurrection bar by now. So Li Chengfeng calmed down and began to try to be more and more fierce every time he could inflict harm on Wesker. The Ouroboros virus is completely different from the Dionysus factor, the level gap is too huge. 5 minutes later, it was Wesker who was out of breath, covered in wounds. His sunglasses had long been shattered by a punch from Li Chengfeng in the face. Even the Ouroboros virus's self-healing ability was powerless. You said you would play with us for a maximum of 7 minutes. Now there is 1 minute left. I'm giving you a chance. No matter what you hid in there, hand it over. I can ensure that you spend the rest of your life in the FBI prison. Quote, Wesker did not answer, but his eyes became brighter. You actually have a more powerful self-healing ability. Are you also the owner of some kind of biological virus? Quote, virus. You're really crazy. Quote, Li Chengfeng shook his head, completely speechless about Wesker, the biochemical madman. It doesn't matter. If you don't want to tell me, forget it. As long as we use you as the material for living research, we will definitely know the secrets of your body. Quote, as he spoke, black slime tentacles began to emerge from Wesker's wounds. Appeared. The unique feature of Resident Evil is to ignore the law of conservation of energy and perform all kinds of outrageous transformations. Black slime tentacles gradually wrapped around Wesker's body, leaving only his face exposed. He looked like a complete monster. Li Chengfeng frowned. Not good. In this state, Wesker lost his super speed, but gained a significant increase in strength in return. With his current physical condition, even with the Dionysus factor, he would probably just have to lie on the ground and wait for self-healing. But he glanced around the corner of his eye and his tense brows relaxed. Wesker, tell me, why do you want to study the Ouroboros virus? Quote, you will never understand. As a so-called human, born under the genetic plan, I have always been pursuing higher evolution. Quote, Tisk, then you really have a low self-esteem. You don't agree with your identity as a clone deep down, so you want to pursue evolution. Quote, maybe you're right, but the winner will always be Albert Wesker. Quote, bullshit, our boss is an experienced detective. There must be something fishy about this bald old man being killed with one blow. You are such a pretentious guy, you will have to suffer for your answer. Quote, buzz. Quote, as soon as he finished speaking, a heat ray from high to low melted Wesker's entire head. Chapter 14. Green lights stay on, X-Men appear. Of course director Nick Fury, you are still as good as ever. Quote, fuck, can you stop standing there and making sarcastic remarks? I feel like my internal organs were dislocated by that punch just now. I would conservatively estimate that at least 3 ribs were broken. Quote, scars are a man's glory. Quote, I have enough glory. I would rather have less glory to bother my old arms and legs. Quote, Li Chengfeng walked up and kicked Wesker's body away, then walked up and helped Nick Fury up. Looking at the black braised egg with cold sweat on his forehead, Li Chengfeng couldn't help but sigh. The former king of agents is indeed old and is no longer suitable for participating in high-intensity frontline combat missions. If it wasn't for the purpose of cracking the secret of his memory, he probably wouldn't have to suffer this time. At this time, Ada Wong and Harley Quinn, who had been cleaning up the zombies, also rushed over. Don't worry about me. I'll just take a rest. Nick Fury sat aside with the help of Ada Wong. Let's go and see what Wesker is researching. He is willing to expose his whereabouts and mobilize so many new models of tyrants to buy himself some time. Quote, Li Chengfeng didn't hesitate. He kicked open the shaky half-door and walked into the temporary house. The moment he came in, Li Changfeng was dazzled by all the instruments. It turned out to be a mobile research institute. On the research table in the middle, there was an object emitting a soft green light. "Fuck, no way." Quote. Li Changfeng took 2 steps at a time and took a step forward to confirm again and again. If there was nothing wrong with his eyes and brain, then the thing in front of him would be a green light furnace. A fucking biochemical fanatic is studying the energy source of the cosmic police. Who would believe this if I told them? Shaking his head, Li Changfeng decided to take the lamp away first. But the moment his hand touched the lamp, the originally soft green light suddenly became dazzling and bright, illuminating the originally dark research institute. Li Changfeng suddenly remembered that one of the rewards for his last mission was Batman's willpower. Grandpa's willpower is enough to easily control the Green Lantern ring. As expected, a ring flashing the same green light slowly flew out from the lamp and finally stopped in front of Li Changfeng. Intelligent life has been targeted. Li Changfeng from Earth, you have a strong will to overcome fear. Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps. Quote. Ellipsis. Teacher Fury, why is there a sudden green light in there? Could it be that this brainless man has set some trap in there? Quote. Li Changfeng can handle this. Nick Fury smiled bitterly and looked in another direction. You might as well worry about our own safety now. Quote. King Ada also turned his gaze in the same direction, holding the heat ray rifle in front of his chest, ready to unleash fire at any time. You guys made too much noise. It's impossible for us to pretend we didn't notice anything. Quote. A group of people walked out from the shadows. The leader was a bald white man in a suit and tie, but he was sitting in a wheelchair, being pushed by someone behind him. Let me introduce myself. My name is Charles Francis Xavier. You can call me Charles or Professor X. Quote. Professor X nodded to Nick Fury. Long time no see, Director Nick Fury. Quote. This inexplicable greeting left Nick Fury confused. Professor X. I have never heard of this title. And I am sure that I have never seen you. Quote. No, you have met me. We even had a brief cooperation 20 years ago because of the American government. Professor X said calmly, I erased your memory, all memories of me and our mutant tribe. Quote. What? You are the mutants that Li Changfeng mentioned. Quote. Li Changfeng. Professor X frowned and put his fingers on his temples. The next moment, he revealed a look of understanding. It turns out that he is an FBI agent from the Republic, and he is from the Dow brothers. Quote. At that moment just now, you read our memories. Nick Fury's one eye suddenly widened. I didn't feel it at all. Is mutant super ability so powerful? Quote. It's just an ability. Apart from that, we are no different from humans. Quote. As soon as Professor X finished speaking, the mutants behind him revealed their abilities one after another. Extend the steel claws. His whole body turned into steel. Transform into a blue monster. Grow angel-like wings. Generates a small tornado in hand. Everyone's abilities are different. Nick Fury, Ada Wong and Harley Quinn looked at everything in front of them in shock. They knew that there were all kinds of supernatural powers in the world. But I didn't expect there were so many. So you took the initiative to expose your identity. What do you want to do? Quote. Nick Fury was briefly shocked, but soon regained his composure. The most important thing is that we have to be calm. These mutants are much more capable fighters than ordinary agents. We are here to seek cooperation. Professor X was surprisingly calm. Our group has been targeted. Quote. Being targeted. Quote. Yes, he was targeted by an ancient and evil organization. You should be familiar with this organization, called Hydra. Wesker's research over the years and his coming to Westchester County were all funded and directed by Hydra behind the scenes. Quote. When Nick Fury heard the word Hydra, his heart trembled. Just as he was about to ask, he heard a rhyming oath behind him. The day is bright, the night is dark. There is nowhere for evil spirits to hide. The evildoers and treacherous party are afraid of my divine light. The green light is always on, shining forever. Quote. The next moment, Wesker's temporary research institute was instantly split into two. Li Changfeng was wearing a green and black tight combat suit, holding a lantern in his left hand, and green light spreading from his right hand, forming a green ship-cutting sword, and the green light logo on his chest was shining. Good evening, everyone. Li Changfeng saw the extra group of people. He did not put away the green light transformation. He simply combed his hair and walked to the side of Nick Fury. Wolverine, Colossus, Beast, Angel, Storm, why are you mutants not sleeping at night to watch the FBI perform a mission? Quote. Professor X finally stopped looking calm because he didn't know the identity of the man in green in front of him. I don't even know what abilities he has. So he activated his mental ability again, trying to peek into Li Changfeng's brain. But he made a mistake this time. Under the combined effects of the Dionysus factor and the Green Lantern ring, Professor X's mental ability was like hitting an invisible steel wall, with not even a crack to be found. Li Changfeng naturally knew what Professor X had done, and he also knew that he would not succeed. Okay, dear Professor X, you can continue to explain your purpose. Chapter 15. Job assignment after graduation, Dear Zoo 3, Zoo Heart Tilde. Hydra has set its sights on mutants and the X gene that grants mutant ability. Many solitary mutants have been captured by Hydra for live research. Quote, we have conducted many rescue operations, but usually we can only rescue the bodies of our compatriots. Quote, and the number of people we can fight is too few. Quote, therefore, we can only choose to cooperate with the FBI at this critical juncture. Quote, after hearing Professor X's reasoning, Nick Fury immediately asked back, Hydra is an old rival of our America General Administration. I don't think they have the ability to hunt down mutants like you on a large scale. Quote, Director Nick Fury, whether before or after the memory was erased, your understanding of our group is always not detailed enough. Professor X shook his head. Among mutants, there are only a handful of warriors with strong abilities. It's no exaggeration to say that the X-Men behind him are 1 in a million. The abilities of most mutants are very weak and can even cause trouble for their normal lives. Quote, Li Changfeng explained for Professor X. I thought that blending into ordinary human society and living in seclusion forever was the best way out for mutants, but the existence of Hydra shattered my fantasy. Professor X shook his head in self-mockery, if you live in a remote corner, you will be eaten alive by invaders sooner or later. Quote, after listening to this, Nick Fury did not answer anything. Instead, he turned to look at Li Changfeng, lowered his head and said softly. How credible is what this person says? Quote, there is no doubt about his character. He is the strongest person with psychic ability in the world. If he wanted to, it would only be a matter of time before he brainwashed the entire America. But he didn't do that. That is, he erased part of your memory only when you did something that endangered their tribe. Quote, I've been brainwashed. Can I really believe it? Quote, you're panting when I tell you you're fat. Think about all the bad things your America General Administration has done before. They were really merciful by just erasing your memory of mutant. Otherwise, couldn't they just erase you and turn you into an idiot? The kind that drools and calls you mom while having incontinence in bed. Quote, Nick Fury shuddered, obviously imagining that hellish scene. Even though he was the king of agents who never gave others enough trust, he couldn't help but believe it a little. Apart from anything else, if Professor X was replaced by the petty-minded Li Changfeng, I would definitely become the person he just made up. So what do you have in mind? Quote, Nick Fury, you are not really senile, are you? Li Changfeng looked at Nick Fury with the expression of looking at a patient with Alzheimer's disease. Have you forgotten that our American General Administration is also in a state of severe staff shortage? As far as I know, the brothers and sisters of the entire American General Administration have not had a day off for 4 consecutive months, and they have to work overtime every day. Even the people from the Ministry of Internal Affairs have been temporarily dispatched to various departments to help. Quote, so what you mean is, quote, why don't you absorb the existing team of super ability people into the FBI and wait for them to be brainwashed and divided by Hydra before being absorbed? Quote, Nick Fury patted his black forehead. Due to the blood loss and injury, his brain was indeed a little slow. That's right, the FBI police solve various supernatural incidents, and the X-Men police solve the threat of Hydra. Cooperate with each other to solve each other's problems. Why not? Win-win, a win-win situation. After reaching a consensus, Li Changfeng immediately stood up straight and cancelled the green light's transformation state. He really is not used to this tight battle suit thing, haha. Since we want to discuss cooperation, let's find a decent place. I don't want to sit in a pile of zombies to negotiate. Quote, ellipsis. Under the guidance of the X-Men, Li Changfeng, Ada Wong and Harley Quinn arrived at the gate of Xavier Ability School. As for Nick Fury, after entrusting the negotiation to Li Changfeng, he returned to Airbus's automatic medical cabin to lie dead. When people get old, their bodies become fragile. Along the way, a few mutant teenagers ran past from time to time. Li Changfeng was not surprised, but Ada Wong and Harley Quinn were very curious. Especially Harley Quinn. If Ada Wong hadn't held her back, she would have run over to play football with those mutant kids. After suffering from mental illness, a person does become more mentally alert. After walking for a while in the school, we finally arrived at the principal's office, which was also the original site of Xavier's manor. It is called a room, but it is actually an entire old manor. The original Xavier Ability School originated here. But they did not enter the manor directly, but came to an open space on the side. Beast walked to the second flower bed on the right and pressed a few times. Then a passage leading to the underground opened up in the open space in front of him. Walking into the passage, a different scene ensues. There are high-tech facilities everywhere. There are a few other X-Men left here. White Queen, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Mystique. Professor, what's the situation with these three people? Cyclops walked forward and whispered to Professor X, can we really bring them here? Quote, if nothing unexpected happens, we will be inseparable colleagues in the future, so there is no need to hide anything here. Quote, Professor X's words were very useful to Li Changfeng. I can only say that white duck eggs are really good. Hearing this, Cyclops raised his eyes covered by goggles and looked at Li Changfeng, then led everyone to a conference table. Please take a seat, three agents. Quote, after Professor X invited the three to take a seat, the negotiation officially began. Professor X, I already understand all of your requests. To be honest, our interests and needs are actually very consistent. We need manpower to deal with the rapidly increasing supernatural incidents in recent years and protect civilians from coming into contact with things they shouldn't come into contact with before they are prepared. And you also have to deal with the threat of Hydra, a veteran villain organization. Quote, for the FBI, Hydra is also one of our key targets. Quote, so I think that the X-Men joining the FBI is a win-win situation for both parties, especially since many high-level agents in the FBI have retired in the past decade or so. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a shortage of manpower. The addition of the X-Men can just fill in for some of the high-level agents. Quote, Li Changfeng's meaning is very simple. Once you join the FBI, you will be a family and can even push the X-Men to the top of the America headquarters, and Bai Yadin will become one of the decision makers. I agree with all of this. Quote, Bai Yadin nodded, and then changed the subject to another matter. But what I care more about are actually the children in the school. They are young and have potential, and they are Hydra's key targets. Quote, this is easy. Li Changfeng thought for a moment and gave the answer. Since the X-Men and the FBI are integrated, why doesn't the Xavier Ability School merge with the FBI Academy? Quote, after you finish your studies, you will be guaranteed a job, with a high salary, and you will be a civil servant, so you can eat the government's food, dear. Chapter 16 Hydra, why is it always you? The X-Men had no reason to reject Li Changfeng's conditions. To be precise, this condition is even more important to them. Mutants have always existed in this society in the form of hidden identities. Why? Although mutants are essentially just humans with special genes, they come with all sorts of bizarre supernatural abilities. This is not simply a matter of skin color. But ordinary people really worry about whether supernatural abilities will threaten their survival. But even with the official endorsement of the FBI, Mutant will still not reveal his identity in front of civilians. The difference from before is that people didn't dare to do it at all before, but now they just avoid trouble. What's more, what Li Changfeng said about guaranteed job assignment touched the heart of Mutant. Looking at Professor X's warm smile, Li Changfeng suddenly reacted. I originally thought that I could gain some advantage in the end and win over some new forces from Mutant, but I didn't expect that they would take advantage of the situation. Want to recruit people from me? No problem. How can that be enough? My whole family can move here. From now on, I'll rely on your FBI. Li Changfeng scratched his head. All I can say is that the official identity of the FBI is just too tempting. The FBI represents not only the country, but the entire World Federation. In that case, I will be waiting for you to join me at the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C. Quote, ellipsis. When Li Changfeng and the other two returned to the Airbus, Nick Fury had already crawled out of the medical cabin. The ribs have just been repaired. Although I can move independently, I cannot make large movements yet. How's it going? Quote, from now on, there will be no more X-Men and Xavier ability schools. There will only be the FBI and the FBI Academy. Quote, this Professor Xavier is so decisive. He directly merged the mutant organization into the FBI. Quote, after all, considering mutants' situation, joining the FBI will only benefit them. What they want is nothing new for the FBI. Quote, Li Changfeng and Nick Fury sat in the Airbus operations conference room and reported the contents of the negotiations in detail. By the way, about Hydra. Nick Fury called out a piece of intelligence on the big screen. This is the result of the investigation I just asked the headquarters to conduct. Hydra seems to have absorbed the umbrella corporation that was active a few years ago, and its founder has become a senior executive of Hydra. His name is Oswell Spencer. It was he who sent Wesker to Westchester County to investigate the mutant tribe. Quote, the mission, Biochemical Madman, has been completed. Quest-related characters, Nick Fury, Wesker, Oswell Spencer. Rewards are being randomly drawn. Closing square bracket. Open black lens bracket. Gain Nick Fury's experience. Close black lens bracket. Get Wesker's strengthening speed. Obtain Oswell Spencer's knowledge of biochemical viruses. Tisk. Quote, Li Changfeng couldn't help but smacking his lips. It cannot be said that this reward is completely useless, but it can only be said to be better than nothing. Nick Fury's experience is somewhat useless. After all, he was originally one of the best FBI agents. Wesker's strengthening speed is pretty good, but it's not outstanding compared to those really powerful abilities. The last one was the one he couldn't stand the most. How useful is biochemical virus knowledge in this world? Even the strongest bow will die from thermal weapons. I originally thought that there should be a group of X-Men on this mission, but I didn't expect that they were not included. But after thinking about it, it makes sense. During the first mission, Ada Wong was one of the team members, so he was naturally included. Bats also play a significant role in the mission, so they are included as well. But when the X-Men showed up, Wesker had already been killed and had no real role in the mission. I can only say it's a pity. This biological attack may just be the beginning. Hydra cannot just conduct this one exploratory operation. Quote, that's right, so I have already contacted the FBI in various countries and asked them to conduct a thorough investigation of any possible Hydra organizations in their territories. They should have a summary of the information in a few days. Quote, especially pay attention to small countries like Latveria. With the huge financial resources of Hydra, it is easy to secretly manipulate a few small countries. Quote, I have thought of this, but it is not easy for us to interfere in other countries' internal affairs. The World Federation has to step in. Quote, Nick Fury's expression was quite serious. Li Changfeng also learned from reading the information that the Hydra in this world is much more powerful than the original Hydra, because it is not competing against a single shield, but the United World Federation. However, Hydra is both eager and wary of the power of the mutants. Our successful cooperation with the X-Men can be regarded as a trump card that can completely defeat Hydra. Quote, ellipsis. In the few days after returning to the FBI headquarters, Li Changfeng reported in detail about the situation of the entire mutant community and the specific combat level of the X-Men. Then Nick Fury is happy to eat 6 meals a day. A good mood means a good appetite. What? Afraid of someone with bad intentions towards ordinary people or the FBI? According to Li Changfeng's description, they have almost a dozen powerful telepathy ability users. If they really wanted to do something bad, they would have done it long ago. This brainwashing ability is 10,000 times more terrifying than Hydra. And looking at their code of conduct, it is obvious that they have the small-time peasant mentality of, I just want to live a good life. The formation of X-Men is mainly for self-preservation. But Nick Fury is a man who dares to deceive even himself. To put it bluntly, he is mean and suspicious. It was only because Lee Chung-fung gave Xavier, the leader of Mutant, high praise that Nick Fury was so easy to talk to from the beginning. Lee Chung-fung is his biggest safety card now. Although he didn't know how strong Lee Chung-fung was now, Nick Fury vaguely discovered that Lee Chung-fung was different now than when they first met. Just from the self-healing ability displayed during the battle with Wesker, we can get some clues. But Nick Fury had an inexplicable feeling in his heart that he could trust this Republican man without any bottom line. Hey, your eyes are so cheesy. I like women, especially the older sisters with long legs and thin waists. Quote, bah, you are slandering the leadership. I represent the government and the people. I will shoot you. Quote, what gun are you going to use to kill me? You know I have the self-healing ability, and ordinary guns are just tickling me. Quote, no matter if you are self-healing or not, I will shoot you twice and make myself feel better. Quote, Lee Chung-fung has always treated Nick Fury like this. In fact, he has never regarded him as a leader. And Nick Fury never really regarded Lee Chung-fung as his subordinate. Which subordinate can bully his leader at will? Maybe this is their way of building trust between two weirdos. At this time, a clerk walked into Nick Fury's office. Report. Director Nick Fury, Agent Lee Chung-fung, the Xavier Ability School personnel on the visitor list have gone to the conference room according to your instructions. Chapter 17 White Duck Eggs and Black Salted Eggs. Got it, we'll go there now. Quote, yes, Chief. Quote, upon hearing this, Lee Chung-fung immediately stood up and followed Nick Fury to the official meeting room on the 20th floor. As soon as I opened the door, the first thing I saw was Professor X's big bald head. The white duck eggs are not called for nothing. Dear guests from Xavier Ability School, let me introduce myself again. I am the current director of the American Bureau of the Federal Bureau of Investigation in the world, Nicholas Joseph Fury. Quote, Charles Francis Xavier, you can also call me Professor X. Quote, white duck eggs and black braised eggs, such a historic meeting is so funny. Especially since they had obviously met before, but were pretending to shake hands and negotiate, which added a bit of comedy. Looks very much like Brother Xiaoxia and Haidashuai. So Lee Chung-fung has been holding back his laughter since just now. As luck would have it, there was also a person behind Professor X who was covering his mouth and trying to hold back his laughter, but he failed. Ha 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 ha. Too funny, Nick Fury and Charles sitting face to face. I will definitely remember this picture for the rest of my life. Quote, well, it's you again, Wolverine. I was about to say this when we met in Westchester County the other day. This guy looks a little familiar. Quote, oh, so you've probably seen the Howling Commandos photo, right? You can call me Logan. I used to hang out with Peggy Carter for a while. She was one of the toughest women I've ever met in my life. Quote, Peggy Carter, the first director of the America General Agency. Logan restrained his smile and answered modestly. You have to know that this guy is almost 200 years old. If you put that life resume in a table, it would scare people to death. As a man who has spanned almost the entire modern history of the West, he can get involved in everything. Born into a wealthy family, he lived with wolves in Canada, participated in World War I and World War II, worked with Captain America Bucky and Peggy Carter, and even walked out of the ruins of Hiroshima alive. Compared with the previous things, the later things like getting involved in the Cold War and being a spy seem a bit childish. This is a real hardcore ruthless guy, and he is Nick Fury's serious predecessor. So Nick Fury couldn't help but feel a sense of heroes appreciating heroes. But the reckless Lee Chung-fung was still present, and he was very good at ruining the atmosphere. What's going on? Are you two relatives who haven't seen each other for many years? How about I call the hotel and ask them to set up a table? But I think the race of the people seems a little off. Quote, Lee Chung-fung's interference actually made the two parties end their casual chat and get straight to the point. In short, the conditions agreed upon by Lee Chung-fung and Professor X were not much different, except that detailed discussions were conducted on all aspects. Overall, the negotiations between the FBI director and the mutant community can be said to be extremely successful. The FBI gained reliable and powerful members with high combat capabilities, while mutant gained countless social resources. You know, there are so many things the FBI can do for mutant. For example, the major groups and families hidden behind American politics. The FBI can dig up all their intelligence and persuade them to make an honorable compromise. If they are not decent, the FBI will help them be decent. You have to know that mutants are an entire ethnic group. Without using some powerful means, the capital and politicians in America who control public opinion and the economic lifeline will not give in. Lee Chung-fung even felt that after paving this road with mutant, when aliens began to appear on a large scale, he could use the same method to recruit them under his command. But there are some differences between aliens and mutants. Mutants already have a real leadership class and are a group that has developed perfect social relations. Although the Inhumans have the Atalan royal family, they have already migrated to the dark side of the moon and settled there. Although the Inhumans on Earth have a secluded settlement called Afterlife, they actually do not have the ability to lead the Inhuman community. Therefore, the stage that the alien is in is still in the initial state of mutant. Professor X, I have a suggestion that I hope you can listen to. Quote, after the black and white eggs finished all the negotiations and discussions, Lee Chung-fung spoke. Nick Fury was afraid that this gentleman was going to do something evil again, but it was not a good idea to interrupt him directly in this situation, so he could only blink a few times at Lee Chung-fung. Unfortunately, his one eye was almost broken by blinking, and Lee Chung-fung seemed to pretend not to see it. Agent Lee Chung-fung, please speak. Quote, Xavier Ability School is very well managed. Even though there are many mutated adolescents, no trouble has occurred. Quote. To be honest, I'm a little unsure. Are you really praising us? Quote. Professor X laughed. To be honest, those naughty kids gave him a headache every day even though he was smart. The power of naughty adolescents is the same all over the world. This is definitely a compliment. Lee Chung-fung thought his eyes were sincere. Since you have decided to join the FBI, I hope Professor X can also serve as the Dean of the FBI Academy. Quote. Nick Fury almost clapped his hands when he heard this. The previous Dean of the FBI Academy was a senior Hydra veteran. The FBI Academy a few years ago could basically be renamed the Hydra Academy. After the initial cleanup of the Hydra crisis, the FBI Academy was quite short of staff, and almost all the high-level agents working in the Academy returned to the headquarters. Until now, the only people in the FBI Academy are Agent Weaver, who maintains the daily operations of the Academy, and the trainees who have been confirmed to have no connection with Hydra. Only 100 or so people are left. Dean of the FBI Academy. But I'm not proficient in agent skills. Quote. Of course I have considered this, but compared to teachers who can teach various skills, the FBI Academy now needs a principal with a clean identity and who can control the situation. As for the Academy teachers, I think Logan is definitely qualified. Moreover, Xavier Ability School has also been merged into the FBI Academy. The principal is the same person, which makes them feel more at home. Quote. Professor X paused for a moment. It must be said that he has already approved of this proposal. The ultimate goal of Xavier Ability School is to give these young mutants the power to choose their own destiny. Although a small number of people will choose to join the X-Men, more people will return to society. If they could join the FBI, it would be a good way out for other mutants. Given the depth of cooperation between the two parties, mutant will never be excluded or even discriminated against within the FBI. Charles, I think it's fine. Quote. Wolverine Logan, who had been silent for a while, spoke up at this time. So don't think that Wolverine is a piece of tough meat, drinking, fighting, and bullying kids every day. But among the X-Men, his words are quite effective, and it can even be said that his prestige is second only to Professor X. Seeing that the usually idle second-in-command was reliable, Professor X finally nodded. In that case, I'll take the job. Chapter 18 Entrance Ceremony and Problem Girl. I'm so stupid, really. Li Changfeng raised his head, revealing his somewhat dull eyes, and continued, I only knew that there were naughty kids in Xavier Ability School, but I didn't know there were also naughty kids in the FBI Academy. I must have been crazy 2 days ago to agree to be a teacher at the new FBI Academy. Quote, you only attended class once at the beginning of the semester, and then never showed up again. Quote, Ada Wong took a sip of the coffee calmly. Nonsense, because I quit. Li Changfeng sat up from the floor with a somersault. If I continue to stay with those little bastards, I'm afraid I won't be able to resist beating them up. Quote, you've already smoked. Quote, Ada Wong looked at the annoyed Li Changfeng and couldn't help but recall the chaotic opening day of the new FBI Academy 2 days ago. Ellipsis. That day, all the senior FBI officials gathered together. At the entrance ceremony of the FBI Academy, Professor X, Charles Francis Xavier, who had just become the dean of the FBI Academy, delivered an opening speech. Leaders, teachers, and students, good morning. Quote, spring breeze and rain, summer flowers in full bloom. In this beautiful autumn, we gather together to welcome the merger ceremony of the FBI Academy and Xavier Ability School and the opening ceremony of the new FBI Academy. Together, we will usher in a new and brand new beginning. A brand new future. Quote, first of all, please allow me, Charles Francis Xavier, as the new dean of the FBI Academy, to express my sincere greetings and highest respects to the agents and teachers who are fighting on the front line on behalf of our FBI leadership team. Quote, Nick Fury and Li Changfeng, who were sitting on either side of him, gritted their teeth and felt their brains boiling. He is truly worthy of being the principal of an old school. The length of his speech is completely comparable to that of high school principals in the Republic. The most amazing thing is that you haven't said anything useful for half a day. Then came various matters. Just one more thing to add after the speech. Then this point is divided into 20 small points. Each point is explained in detail in 3 to 5 aspects. Finally, you should emphasize a few key points verbally before concluding. Forget about Li Changfeng and Nick Fury. Didn't you see that Mystique and Wolverine both put on their headphones and started daydreaming? At the same time, they also figured out one thing. These high-level agents are well versed in obtaining intelligence, investigating supernatural cases, and even going deep into enemy territory to solve problems. But when it comes to teaching, they are really a bunch of amateurs. Look at them, the big guys who specialize in the education industry are different. They want to break every sentence into pieces and then pour it into your head, for fear that you may not understand even the slightest bit. The only shortcoming may be that it is too long-winded. Li Changfeng is already dreaming of his high school days. Professor X's speech finally came to an end under Li Changfeng's constant signaling. But the next sentence plunged the students in the classroom into despair. Next, let us invite the captain of the STAR team and the new FBI Academy's field contact, Agent Li Changfeng, to speak. Welcome everyone. Quote, meow, there is more. Li Changfeng was also completely dumbfounded. He remembered that there was no such step in the process. Li Changfeng cursed inwardly. Professor X must have been excited about talking, and when he saw him motioning towards him, he thought that he wanted to say something too, so he just let him have some fun too. Li Changfeng had no choice but to turn on the microphone after being caught off guard. He listened to the sparse applause and continuous sighs from below, and after a long while he managed to utter only one sentence. The entrance ceremony is over. Disband. Quote, the students were stunned for a full second, then escaped from this horrible cage with cheers. These poor kids were really tortured by Professor X. Some mutant students even used their super abilities to escape from this troubled place. But these are all details. Overall, this opening session was very successful. The joining of more than 100 young mutant students has injected fresh energy into the semi-paralyzed FBI youth training system. Or maybe it's too vivid. Problems then arise. The ones who caused the problem were not the mutant teenagers, but the young newcomers that Nick Fury had plundered from all walks of life. Peter Parker, Daniel Rand, Ava Ayala, Luke Cage, Sam Alexander, Tyrone Johnson, Tandy Bowen and Doran Green. Did you get confused just by looking at the name? Maybe it would be clearer if we put it another way. Spider-Man, Iron Fist, White Tiger, Wonder Man, Nova, Cape, Dagger, Squirrel Girl. This group of people are the ones Lee Chung-fung is most familiar with. This means that the new FBI Academy has accumulated many superhero talents. Among them are many future top-tier superheroes. A glimpse of the whole picture. There are many heroes in this world who are in the stage of not yet growing up, waiting to be discovered by others. These people in the FBI are serious high school students. The setting is almost the same as that of the anime, Ultimate Spider-Man, but it is quite reasonable to put them in this integrated universe. After all, from the public's perspective, the concept of superhero has only been around for a short time. Harley Quinn put on a white coat over her ripped hot girl outfit. Although she was still very crazy, it did not affect her being the best psychologist in the America General Administration. As we all know, what teenagers, especially those with special abilities, need most is psychological counseling. You may not use it, but you must have it. She flipped through the student roster in her hand and suddenly pointed to a name. Wait, didn't this little girl named Jessica Jones come to sign in? Quote. Lee Chung-fung was stunned. He checked the sign-in list and found that everyone had signed in except this person. As for the name Jessica Jones, he was also quite familiar with it. This girl is considered the representative of Marvel's street heroes and problem girls. After saying that, he turned on his personal terminal and connected to the video call with Ingrid. Captain, any instructions? Quote. Jessica Jones, freshman at the FBI Academy. I want all her information, including her real-time location, shared on my terminal within 5 minutes. Quote. You will be satisfied. Quote. Ingrid nodded and hung up the call. It's just that the students are skipping classes. Can't we just send 2 internal agents to check it out? Quote. Are you crazy or am I crazy? Oh, you are indeed crazy. Quote. Hey, why are you still swearing? Quote. No, can any of the students who were recruited by Nick Fury to enter the new FBI Academy be good people? I seriously doubt that if we send 2 random agents there, they will most likely get beaten. Quote, I have no choice but to go there myself. I am destined to be a hard worker. Chapter 19 Lee Chung-fung, Misunderstanding. It's really a misunderstanding. A bottle of Tennessee whiskey, and 2 packs of Marlboros, mint. Quote. Jessica Jones slapped the money on the convenience store counter and said impatiently. But the clerk did not rush to bring the goods just because she put a few large coins on the counter, but reached out to Jessica Jones to ask for them. Ma'am, please show me your ID. Quote. The clerk's request was normal. You need adult ID to buy cigarettes and alcohol. Jessica Jones is a high school student, and although she is 18 years old, America is still a long way from being an adult at 21. But it didn't matter, she had half a dozen fake certificates in her pocket. Jessica Jones slapped her ID card on the counter and walked to the shelf where the wine was placed. Tisk, why are they all Irish? Oh, I see, you are here. Quote. Jessica Jones found her favorite, Tennessee whiskey, among the large number of Irish whiskeys on the shelf. He unscrewed the bottle, raised his neck and took a sip. Pooha, cool. Quote. Anyway, you have paid, so you are allowed to open it at the counter. But as luck would have it, at this juncture, a small accident happened in the convenience store. Hey, buddy, hand over all the money now. I don't want to send you to the hospital or the funeral home. Quote. A burly white man stood in front of the counter, holding a sharp folding knife against the clerk's neck. Jessica Jones, who was standing in front of the shelf, just glanced at it indifferently, and her body paused slightly. Then he took another sip of the wine. She knew very well that with her ability, she could easily beat this bastard into a bloody mess that even his own mother wouldn't recognize. But she didn't want to deal with it. She is selfish and has never known what people call help. Especially the guy named Peter Parker in school. She hated this kind of sunny critic who was full of righteousness and morality the most. However, the clerk behind the counter didn't know that the woman drinking could easily lift a car and throw it. He could only take out all the cash on the counter while trembling, trying to use his eyes to remind Jessica Jones to run away quickly. What the hell are you looking at? Quote. The highly nervous robber caught this look very keenly. When I turned around, I saw Jessica Jones holding a bottle of wine. When he discovered that there was a woman in the store, his fear and guilt all turned into violence at that moment. Plus, Jessica Jones is a strong-faced beauty, and she looks especially gorgeous in the not-so-bright lighting, which makes the robber lick his lips. The lust and contempt in that look made Jessica Jones frown. She suddenly wanted to take action again. But the thought only flashed through her mind. Before she could even remove some parts from this bastard, the convenience store door rang again, indicating that a customer had arrived. Everyone present was stunned. The next moment, the robber who planned to rob people of their money and their women was instantly knocked down by a simple and straightforward punch and lost consciousness. A Republic man in an FBI suit shook his hands, then looked up at the stunned Jessica Jones. "You even want to run away from the opening ceremony? You must be so rebellious, Jessica Jones." Quote, "How do you know my name?" "No, who are you?" Quote, "No, I'm here to catch you skipping class, big sister, why are you still asking questions?" "I want to ask, Jessica Jones, think about who you are now." Quote, "None of your business." Quote, "None of my business." Quote, Lee Chung-fung almost choked up at that time. It was impossible to have a good conversation with such a problematic girl. It seemed that he would make her so angry that she fainted as soon as he opened his mouth. "I repeat, the first day of school. You're skipping school. And you're skipping the FBI Academy. You're really careless. Do you think this is your high school?" Quote, "Are you from the FBI?" Quote, "Aren't you talking nonsense? I'm not only from the FBI, but also your teacher. Otherwise, I'm sick and I don't care if you skip school or not. Please be kind, and hurry and follow me." Quote, Lee Chung-fung felt so tired in his heart. He would never love again. Is it so difficult to be a role model? My high school teachers in my previous life, I am so sorry for you. You guys are really awesome. You can be so kind to someone like me. FBI Academy. That hero playhouse project. Sorry, I'm not interested in this kind of thing. Quote, Jessica Jones walked past Lee Chung-fung without hesitation, picked up the 2 packs of Marlboro when passing the counter, and kicked the robber on the ground. Even in a coma, he groaned in pain. Then leave the convenience store. My goodness, for an underage high school student you are proficient in smoking and drinking. Did you perm your hair too much? Quote, while joking, Lee Chung-fung reached out to intercept the 2 packs of cigarettes. But the toughness of bad girls like Jessica Jones really opened Lee Chung-fung's eyes. She stuffed 2 packs of cigarettes directly into her sports vest. Actually, this is not a big deal. It is their own advantage and there is nothing wrong with it. But Jessica Jones was wrong in that she shouldn't have stepped forward so provocatively. Then, Lee Chung-fung raised his hand to dodge when he was about to make a mistake. But it turned into an uppercut. Hey, Jessica Jones, believe me, this is a misunderstanding, this is a fucking misunderstanding. Quote, go to hell. Quote, the force of this punch was not very harmful to Jessica Jones, but it was extremely insulting. At the moment, Jessica Jones seemed like a little wild cat whose tail was accidentally stepped on by a passerby. Although she was showing her teeth and claws to pretend to be fierce, she actually looked inexplicably cute. Definitely, it's just visual cuteness, after all, she has a good-looking face. But if Lee Chung-fung remembered correctly, the kitten in front of him with bared fangs and claws could theoretically lift objects weighing more than 25 tons. And this isn't even the upper limit. I'm afraid that after a full set of cat punches, I can tear apart a set of Mk3 armor. Lee Chung-fung had to dodge quickly, but did not fight back. He is in the wrong. It was clearly to catch students skipping classes, but in order to avoid the vital points, Jessica Jones was given a big electric cannon. Although Jessica Jones is strong enough, her speed and agility are still inferior to Lee Chung-fung. But the exaggerated fight between the two did not last long. Lee Chung-fung glanced at the stunned clerk and knew that he could not continue to act like this in front of ordinary people. So he kicked Jessica Jones's arms as she blocked the attack. While the other party was busy adjusting his balance, Lee Chung-fung took out the FBI's special electric shock gun. Given that Jessica Jones has a certain degree of self-healing ability in addition to her extremely high physical strength. So Lee Chung-fung adjusted the power to maximum without any hesitation, and shot it directly to empty the stored power. This kick made Jessica Jones take a few steps back. When she raised her head again, she found that Lee Chung-fung had pulled the trigger. The next moment, the world was quiet. You bastard, teacher. Quote. Jessica Jones struggled and cursed Lee Chung-fung before she completely fainted. But Lee Chung-fung was scared silly. This is barely enough to stun him. Far from the truth. In theory, a full power shot can instantly bring an adult African elephant to its knees. After putting away the stun gun, Lee Chung-fung carried Jessica Jones, who was twitching from time to time after fainting, on his shoulder and walked out facing the direct gaze of the convenience store clerk. Lee Chung-fung just left the convenience store like that, then leaned back halfway and gave instructions. Mr. Clerk, please remember that all the damage in the store was done by the robber. The FBI will come to assess the damage and compensate you later. Quote. Besides that, you saw nothing. Chapter 20 Peter Parker. You bastard teacher, you rogue teacher. If you have the guts, come and fight me head on. What's the point of using a stun gun to attack me by surprise? Quote. Jessica Jones sat on the sofa in the new FB's Academic Affairs office and verbally attacked Lee Chung-fung for a long time. Lee Chung-fung was really overwhelmed. Fortunately, this girl just refused to admit defeat verbally and did not continue to attack. Otherwise, if I wanted to subdue her, I would have to use the power of the Green Lantern ring. Wolverine, the fighting teacher and academic director, sat happily behind his desk, just standing by and watching his colleagues being verbally attacked by students. Laugh, 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 all you do is laugh. Aren't you the most hardcore ruthless person in Mutant? You're so nice now that it makes me sick. Quote. Ha ha ha, we are colleagues, don't mind those pretentious personalities. Wolverine is over 200 years old after all, and the Wolverine in this universe has never lost his memory. As he gets older, he does show some kindness in his daily life. Come on, tell the director, where did you find this grumpy little wildcat? Quote. In a convenience store in Midtown, don't underestimate him, he's already an expert at smoking and drinking hot drinks at the age of 18. Quote. You have a bright future. I will also drink hot water. We, Old Wolf, are optimistic about you. Quote. Wolverine Logan nodded in agreement and gave Jessica Jones a thumbs up. Lee Chung-fung was frowning. From this guy's sincere eyes, you can feel that he really thinks Chuatang has a future. Then Wolverine got a sweet response from Jessica Jones. Two long and beautiful middle fingers. Lee Chung-fung shook his head, then lowered his voice and complained to Wolverine. I didn't feel it when I was a student before, but now I find that this kind of creature is even more disgusting than a dog. How did my teacher tolerate me in the past? Quote. Hey, I'm just bullying you. In my eyes, you're already a good student with excellent academic performance. Wolverine took out a cigar cheerfully, lit it and took 2 puffs, then blew smoke rings while saying, when I first joined Xavier Ability School, I beat up those naughty kids. You don't know, there were even students who sneaked into my room in the middle of the night and wanted to kill me. I have to say, it's a wonderful and interesting memory. Quote. Is there something wrong with your definition of beautiful and interesting, Wolverine? Lee Chung-fung rolled his eyes and said disdainfully, you've even caused students to assassinate you. You're so annoying back then, but you're still quite proud of it, right? Quote. Isn't this just sharing my past experiences as an educator with my new colleagues? Logan shrugged, then said to Lee Chung-fung, they are different from ordinary students, so we still have to use some obvious principles to influence them. Quote. What's the obvious truth? Quote. The teacher's fist is harder, so you have to listen to the teacher. Quote. Fuck. Lee Chung-fung was about to continue complaining when he heard a knock on the door. Come in. Quote. As soon as Lee Chung-fung finished speaking, the office door opened. Director Logan, Mr. Lee, I'm Peter Parker, a freshman at the FBI Academy. We're here to ask how Jessica Jones is doing and to pick her up. Quote. After the office door opened, the first thing that came into Lee Chung-fung's sight was Peter Parker's slightly uneasy and nervous face. At the same time, the group of people who followed him into the office also greeted the two of them. Hello, Director. Hello, Teacher. Quote. White Tiger, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Nova, and Squirrel Girl. They are all familiar faces. Do you all know Jessica Jones? Lee Chung-fung was a little surprised. You guys look so nervous, are you on good terms? Quote. Mr. Lee, we are good friends who go to the same high school. Quote, "What's the name of your high school?" Quote, "Midtown High School." Quote, Lee Chung-fung couldn't help but smack his lips a few times. I have to say, Central City High School is an area full of talented people. Superheroes appear in groups, right? Humph, you and I are not good friends. Quote, Jessica Jones sat up from the sofa at this time. Although she said so, her body was very honest and she had already walked into the middle of her friends. Tsunere has really retired, dear. All right kids, take your friends and leave. Quote, upon seeing this, Wolverine stood up immediately, and then pushed and rushed a group of young superheroes who had not yet graduated from high school out of the academic affairs office. Maybe it was because Wolverine originally looked quite ferocious, that even though he always had a smiling face, none of the high school students dared to refute him. But just like that, Lee Chung-fung also intuitively felt the biggest characteristic of little Spider-Man Peter Parker besides his greatness and righteousness. You are such a chatterbox. Hey Mr. Lee, Agent Lee Chung-fung, I've heard about your deeds and know that you are an expert seconded from the Republic General Bureau. Now Director Nick Fury is most interested in you and the Star Squad. Although I didn't graduate from high school in the FBI Academy, I will definitely strive to join the Star Squad in the future. It's so cool, but are there any extra salary subsidies for joining the Star Squad? Yes, this is still a problem, then I won't join for now. I once sneaked into the FBI's action video storage room with Dolan Green, Squirrel Girl, and retrieved the action video about you. My god, the madman in Gotham City was actually solved by you, and Batman hasn't been able to deal with him for so many years. And Tony Stark also appeared. His mecha looks really cool, but it doesn't seem to be very strong. In this operation, what exactly is that green ring? Also, do you have to recite fixed lines to transform? And, quote, he speaks fast and his thoughts are jumpy. The most important thing is that the breath is really long. Wolverine finally slammed the door shut, and Lee Chung-fung breathed a sigh of relief. Logan, I feel like my brain is starting to boil. Has this guy named Peter Parker never spoken in his life? Or will he die if he doesn't finish talking today? Quote, this kid is known for being a chatterbox. He may seem a little reserved and socially anxious, but he's actually a real social terrorist. Today, he has made Raven's transformation state unstable. Quote, the Raven that Wolverine refers to is naturally Mystique Raven Darkholme. However, the Mystique in this world is not the Mystique in the X-Men movies who serves as Bayotan's adopted sister and child bride. But a mutant who is about the same age as Wolverine or even older. After all, over 200 years old, is just a self-claim. Isn't it normal for women to report their age lower than it actually is? Even this grandmother-level figure can't handle it, which shows the power of Peter Parker's mouth. I can only say that he is worthy of being Deadpool's good friend, and his mouth is broken into pieces. But Emma really likes Peter Parker. After all, he is really handsome, which is right in Emma's strike zone. Quote, Emma, White Queen, yes. Quote, As a teacher, don't attack your students, bastard. Chapter 21 Raid, Latveria. Time goes back to the present. After experiencing the baptism of the arrogant and rebellious kid, the well-behaved and nagging kid, and the Shota-control female teacher, Lee Chung-fung was completely tired of love. No matter how Professor X tried to persuade him, he transformed into Green Lantern, beat up those naughty kids, and then resolutely resigned. Being a teacher is not a job that an ordinary person can do. In addition, Nick Fury has been busy with the new FBI Academy these 2 days, so Lee Chung-fung simply gave himself 2 days off and stayed at home. King Ida stayed at home with him like a gentle and virtuous wife. Bullshit. Having a bad woman like Sister Wong around makes me very anxious, but I don't want to make progress. It was a torture for Lee Chung-fung both physically and mentally. You can only make some green tea to relieve the internal heat. The most important thing is that there is a mentally ill patient named Harley Quinn who has transferred her emotions from Joker and is against Sister Wong every day. That was why he went for a physical checkup today, leaving Lee Chung-fung and Sister Wong alone. I feel like I'm just becoming a part of the play between you and Harley. Quote, don't talk nonsense, you are our captain. Quote, can you change to white silk? Quote, Captain, You don't want to be notified to the entire FBI for workplace harassment of your subordinates, do you? Quote, then you can change to a pair of leather pants, right? The weather has been a little cool recently, and this is for your own good. Who would wear a high-slit cheongsam every day? Quote, this can be considered. Quote, King Ada thought for a moment, then walked into the room and began to change his clothes. After a while, Sister Wong changed into a red shirt, black leather pants and black leather boots. From Sister Wong in Resident Evil 4, she transformed into Sister Wong in Resident Evil 6. Lee Chung-fung's Adam's apple moved up and down, his mouth felt dry, and he felt angry. I still have to drink some tea. At this time, Sister Wang's personal terminal rang. After the call was connected, it turned out to be Nick Fury, who I hadn't seen for a few days. Ada, notify Lee Chung-fung to come to the headquarters for a meeting immediately. Her tone revealed a bit of seriousness. We have new discoveries about Hydra. Quote, yes, Chief. Quote, King Ida also stopped teasing Lee Chung-fung and spread his hands towards Lee Chung-fung. Let's go, my captain. It looks like our busy life is coming to an end. Quote, Tisk, you Americans really have a lot to deal with. Quote, I am America, and my country has its own conditions. Quote, ellipsis ellipsis. After receiving the call from Nick Fury, the two did not go directly to the headquarters, but first went to pick up Harley Quinn, who was coming for a checkup. Oh, my pudding, why did you suddenly think of taking me home? Quote, although Harley has changed to normal makeup now, the evil look that occasionally appears in the corners of her eyes and the never-fading red and blue at the ends of her hair still reveal her identity. Nick Fury asked Team Star to gather for a meeting. If nothing unexpected happens, we have a new mission. Quote, new mission. Harley Quinn yelled excitedly, hugged Lee Chung-fung and hung on him, bit him hard, leaving a bright red lip mark on Lee Chung-fung's neck. Great. Fighting zombies again. I didn't have enough fun last time. Quote, can you have some serious hobbies? Quote, now that I'm an FBI agent, I can't just find a random nemesis on the street and drag him to a dead end and beat him up like I did before. But if I'm not even allowed to enjoy my hobby of beating zombies, then what's the point of living? Quote, okay, I'll let you fight. From now on, if there are any biochemical incidents in the START team, you will be in charge, okay. Quote, Lee Chung-fung rolled his eyes and took Harley Quinn off himself. The devil-like queen, the mentally ill queen. Why are all the women I meet such weird types? After picking up Harley Quinn, the three of them went directly to the FBI headquarters. When we arrived at the strategic analysis room, we saw a group of people had been waiting for a long time. Black marinated eggs, white duck eggs and a number of well-known mutants. Lee Chung-fung nodded to the black and white eggs, then took Ada Wong and Harley Quinn to sit next to Wolverine. As a result, Wolverine looked around for a while and nudged Lee Chung-fung's kidney with his elbow. Hey, Mr. Lee, you've been having a good few days. Quote, Logan, don't call me teacher. If you call me that, I'm going to have PTSD. Quote, Tisk, don't change the subject. You are so lucky. I just found out that except for you, the entire START team, even the logistics support is a beautiful lady. Your aesthetic taste is quite fixed. Quote, look at how disrespectful you are to your elders. Do you know what strong comradeship means? Do you know what it means that a queen has 3 treasures? If you don't understand, don't talk nonsense. Quote, okay. A virgin boy's virginity is still high and his words are full of confidence. Quote, Wolverine looked at Lee Chung-fung and grinned twice, but didn't say anything else. Nick Fury on the stage saw that Lee Chung-fung and others were in place, so he nodded to Ingrid. After receiving the command, Ingrid started operating on the terminal. Afterwards, all the information was projected onto the big screen in the strategic analysis room. As you can see, after we alerted the FBI in other countries last time, many major countries have discovered and raised many Hydra branches within their borders. Quote, but it was not unexpected. Hydra mostly set up intelligence personnel in the territories of major powers and did not dare to cause trouble directly. Quote, so we conducted a large-scale investigation of small third-world countries with internal turmoil, and found a long-established Hydra research base in Latveria in Eastern Europe. Quote, and what they are studying here is mutant. Quote, As soon as Nick Fury said this, all the mutants, except the white duck egg, including the most reckless Wolverine, looked gloomy. Mutant previously followed a strategy of seclusion to avoid this kind of thing from happening. But unexpectedly, Hydra still captured many of its compatriots. This also made them feel more and more that joining the FBI was the right thing to do. Official power and intelligence capabilities are what the mutant group originally could not possess. Then, Persuading took over the conversation and continued. So, our next mission is to raid this research institute. Since they are researching mutants, they can't be working behind closed doors. They must be connected to other parts of Hydra. Quote, this mission must be completed quickly. Rescuing the mutant being studied is the top priority. Do not give Hydra the opportunity to destroy the experimental subject. Quote, according to intelligence, the leader of this institute is Baron Strucker. This man must be brought back alive. Quote, this mission will be mainly carried out by the X-Men and the STAR team. After the battle, the FBI will send ordinary agents to clean up the mess. Quote, at the end of his speech, even Persuading's usually gentle and elegant voice sounded a little hoarse. Do you all understand the mission objectives? Dismiss now. Heading to Latveria. Quote, ding, mission, raid on Latveria. Mission introduction. Young agent, Hydra's Research Institute in Latveria is studying the mutant race, please completely eliminate them. But, is Hydra the only one leading all this? Chapter 22, Magneto's Head on the Road. The Quinjet was speeding above the clouds, and keeping pace with it were the X-Men's fighters. This time, the X-Men sent out familiar figures to raid Latveria. Jean Grey, White Queen, Cyclops, Iceman, Mystique, Wolverine, Storm, and Magneto. That's right, Magneto, the leader of the Mutant Brotherhood. Persuading's lifelong enemy and best friend have a love-hate relationship that is somewhat ambiguous. It was beyond Lee Chung-fung's imagination that Magneto actually joined in this time. But he also understands that the X-Men and the Mutant Brotherhood only differ in their stances and behaviors, and their ultimate goal is to serve the interests of the entire mutant community. Just like there are doves and hawks in a political party, they may fight to the death and even turn their brains into dogs' brains. However, once third-party forces get involved, they will all choose to act in unison against the outside world. According to Lee Chung-fung's analysis of the existing intelligence, the current Mutant Brotherhood is not an extremely violent organization, and the X-Men will share some intelligence from time to time. But cooperation is simply a fantasy. On the one hand, they think the X-Men are a bunch of cowards, while on the other hand, they think the Mutant Brotherhood are all young and reckless people. So, it stands to reason that even if Magneto knew about this, he wouldn't come. But these are all Lee Chung-fung's analysis and speculation. But the actual situation is that this Magneto head just happened to come. He just intercepted Lee Chung-fung's Quinjet halfway and then joined the gang. Wolverine didn't understand what the old man wanted to do, so he simply moved from the X-Men's fighter plane to Lee Chung-fung's Quinjet. Not for anything else, just to watch the fun. Hello, Eric, Magneto, Lensher, from whom did you get the information about this operation? Quote, Agent Lee Chung-fung, don't be too nervous. I have no ill intentions. Quote, Magneto, the handsome middle-aged man, did not show the brutality of a member of an extremely violent organization but was rather amiable. This is totally inconsistent with his temperament, it is as awkward as it can be. At this moment, he seemed to be deliberately suppressing anger. I know you have no ill intentions, otherwise you would just use your ability to attack us from a distance. Lee Chung-fung nodded, but regardless of whether you have any ill intentions or not, I must know what your purpose is. The FBI and the X-Men cannot go with a dangerous person whose purpose is unknown. Quote, well, Xavier told me all this. As for why, you'll know after you look at this. Quote, as he spoke, he actually took out 2 pieces of intelligence from the FBI. Lee Chung-fung scratched his head and took the information. It turned out that after they set off, the FBI's in-depth investigation into Latveria brought back new intelligence. In the Hydra Research Institute in Latveria, a pair of siblings were found who were used as the main experimental subjects. They have confirmed that the 2 siblings do have the X gene. But it did not manifest naturally, but its power was forcibly induced by some unknown external force. This results in the two siblings' ability development levels being unclear, extremely unstable, and even having many side effects. Sister Wanda Maximoff, brother Pietro Maximoff. After reading the information brought by Magneto, Lee Chung-fung couldn't help but look at him a few more times. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver have so many origin stories. Originally, they were indeed the children of Magneto's head, but the latest origin story has been changed to being from a necromancer family of Gypsy, who was deceived into believing that Magneto was his father. Could it be that the Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in this world are really related to Magneto? No wonder he was so eager to come forward. After all the fuss, he came here to settle his romantic debts. Otherwise, why would this mutant hero have nothing better to do than to get involved in the X-Men's operations? From another perspective, it can also be seen that Bayotin truly loves this old friend. My intuition tells me that you definitely don't have anything good to say in your heart. Quote, Wolverine leaned close to Lee Chung-fung's ear and said cheerfully, "Don't say it, we are still good friends." Quote, Lee Chung-fung stood up and looked around the entire Quinjet. The Magneto head that tries hard to practice a friendly smile, but the more it smiles the more it looks like a shark. Wolverine was watching Magneto practice smiling but ended up smiling too much. Ada Wong, who was concentrating on flying the fighter plane, and Harley Quinn, who asked Ada Wong, "Will leather pants bulge when you fart?" Quote, "It's so fucking peaceful. Does it look a bit like a cross-border campaign to wipe out the evil organization's strongholds? This atmosphere doesn't seem pure TND, are we going on a spring outing?" Ellipsis ellipsis. After a long flight, the two fighter jets finally entered the airspace of Latvia. As soon as they entered the airspace, the two fighter jets activated stealth mode and wiped themselves off the radar. Both teams played with full spirit. It doesn't matter if you take some time off on the road, but everyone who comes this time is a qualified warrior. Well, except maybe Harley Quinn. All in all, we all know when to get serious. Finally, they stopped 2 kilometers outside the Hydra Institute. The two teams got off the fighter planes, and the X-Men and Magneto looked at each other, their eyes filled with dissatisfaction with each other. The X-Men are unhappy with Magneto's sudden intervention in this operation. Magneto is not happy about this bunch of losers allowing Mutant to be bullied by Hydra. And the people being bullied were his long-lost children. Seeing this, Lee Chung-fung coughed twice and then interrupted the confrontation between the two sides by giving pre-war commands. Hydra's base is an ancient castle. The total number of defenders should be around 1,000, which is not a small number. They are well equipped with both light and heavy weapons, and even have several tanks and armored vehicles. To put it bluntly, this amount of armament is enough to overthrow this small country. Quote, "But for us, this level of defense is quite weak." Quote, "Come on, with a group of mutants with powerful superpowers as the main force, and the logistical support from the FBI behind them, how can the Hydra army of 1,000 people fight back?" Quote, "So, all agents just need to remember one thing, that is, when you are destroying the enemy, please do not intentionally cause excessive damage to the terrain. After all, it is the people's land." Quote, "But human life doesn't need any burden or pressure." Lee Chung-fung waved his hands. "They all became Nazis. They should have expected this day to come. After all, Nazis deserve to die." Quote, Lee Chung-fung said this to the X-Men mutants. Quote, "Lee's statement is really bold. Quote, but it is true." Quote, Iceman and Cyclops looked at each other, then smiled and high-fived. They like Lee Chung-fung's style and are eager to try it out. Mystique, White Queen, Jean Grey and Storm, all of them, sighed in unison as they saw this scene. Oh, man. Quote, "Never grow up." Chapter 23. Your name is Stark. Everyone move. Everyone return to your posts immediately. Quote, "Listen carefully, this is not a drill." Quote, "We are under attack. I repeat, we are under attack." Quote, in the lower level of the castle which served as the Hydra Research Institute, a brother and sister were currently being held in an isolation room made of unknown transparent material, looking with horror at the Nazi Hydra who had suddenly gone into disarray. Fuck. Who is attacking the Research Institute? We have already negotiated terms with that person. Quote, "We don't know. Baron Strucker. All the information about the enemy is unknown. Now only 4 people can identify him personally." Quote, "Who are they?" Quote, 3 of them are Level 7 Agent Lee Chung-fung, Level 4 Agent Ada Wong, and Reserve Agent Harley Quinn from the FBI's American headquarters. Quote, "The FBI intervened. Strack's expression suddenly turned ugly. Where's the fourth person?" Quote, "The fourth person is." Quote, "Why are you stuttering at a time like this? Stop hesitating and speak out." Quote, "Yes, the fourth person is Magneto. Magneto, the leader of that crazy violent organization." Quote, "When he heard the name, Stark's good eyes almost popped out of their sockets and hit his feet. Magneto, the monster who can manipulate magnetic fields." Stark looked at the large screen usually used to display experimental data with a dark face. What is displayed above now is the real-time battle situation. A completely one-sided massacre. Their own army of thousands of people was completely powerless to fight back under the brutal bombardment of this group of people, and their defense line was soon torn to pieces. How come they are so similar to the brother and sister who just had their ability induced through the experiment? Is it possible? Stark turned around in disbelief, looking at the twins who were hugging each other to resist their fear. Isn't this power given by the Asgard scepter? But it exists naturally in some people's bodies. Is the power of the scepter just a key to forcefully unlock these powers? That's right, scepter. In fact, the incident of Loki invading the Earth has already happened in this world. However, that happened 2 years before Lee Chung-fung traveled through time, and this time Loki chose not New York, but a metropolis not far from New York. Then for the first time, the general public understood what a so-called superhero and a so-called Superman were. The Chitauri army was beaten back before they could even get out of the wormhole, and Loki disappeared after the battle. Lee Chung-fung and the FBI also made mistakes in their judgment. That is Hydra, or more precisely, the Hydra headed by Strucker. In fact, they only know that some people have special powers, but they don't know about the mutant group. But by now, Stark should have reacted. After all, Stark is an extremely outstanding researcher, and his achievements in his professional field are probably no less than Bruce Banner and Tony Stark, otherwise he wouldn't have the IQ to figure out Loki's scepter. You know, that thing is a mind gem. Infinite gems, one of the infinite gems. Everything is wrong. It turns out that the research direction is wrong. I thought that scepter gave them power, but I didn't expect that scepter, who has such power, is just a key. Quote, seeing that Stark's emotions were fluctuating more and more, the lackey following Stark lowered his voice and spoke to him. Baron Strucker, it looks like the garrison is about to collapse. We should retreat. Quote, retreat? How can we retreat from a group of people with powerful super abilities at this time? Baron Strucker forced an ugly smile. They came at the right time. If they had come a few days later. No, 30 hours later, the protective stance created by scepter energy would have been completed. Quote, then, as if possessed by a chameleon, he instantly put on a completely different and enthusiastic expression, and loudly encouraged the Hydra soldiers around him who were unaware of the truth. The damn FBI sent a bunch of jokers in tight uniforms to test our beliefs and loyalty. We will never surrender. Hydra hail. Quote, Hydra hail. Under Stark's instigation, the soldiers immediately became excited, their eyes bloodshot, and they couldn't wait to rush onto the battlefield and launch suicide attacks in turns. Stark looked at all this and nodded with satisfaction, then turned to his trusted lackey and said, delete the file. I'm surrendering. Quote, if the FBI gets our research data, they will turn the data into reality in a short time. Quote, just when Stark was using the army as bait to buy time and was secretly preparing to surrender. The top floor of the castle suddenly exploded, and a man and 2 women were taken down in an elevator made of green light of will. The people who came were Lee Chung-fung, who transformed into Green Lantern, as well as Ada Wong and Harley Quinn. Your name is Stark, right? You bald bastard. Quote, I surrender. I am willing to hand over everything here. Just spare my life. Quote, what? Quote, Lee Chung-fung doesn't care what will happen to Stark. But this big bald head really made him feel quite uncomfortable. Isn't this too shameless to admit defeat and beg for mercy? Those who cry for their parents have to use all the resources in their hands to buy their own lives. Lee Chung-fung didn't originally intend to kill him directly. I'm starting to change my mind now. Can't he learn a little from his Hydra colleagues? They would rather die than surrender. While shouting, cut off one head, two heads grow, or, Hydra hail, they await their death and go to their deaths bravely. If someone who doesn't know the background of Hydra saw this, they would probably think that this is a revolutionary organization serving the country and the people. If you can guess that they are Nazis and MLM practitioners, you have really seen a living ghost. Soon, the X-Men also eliminated the remaining armed forces outside and entered the research institute. Stark did the same thing again, crying and yelling. But Wolverine, the old man, was still reliable. He twisted the bald guy's collar and dragged him out. After screaming for a while, it finally quieted down. The dead bald head is probably going to become a half-bald head now. Raven, has the army been completely cleared? Quote, all soldiers were killed, but all clerical staff, including researchers, are guaranteed to be alive and in good mental condition. Quote, Mystique Raven is also an old lady who is about the same age as Wolverine. This kind of meticulous blue-skinned queen is certainly not the kind of person who would kill without caring about anything else. The long-awaited return to the battlefield made the assassin's blood in her body boil again, but she always maintained her rationality. She understood that these researchers were of great use. Even if the X-gene awakening is induced by the power of Loki Scepter, this must be based on a certain amount of research on the X-gene. It is no exaggeration to say that it is incredible that we have reached this stage of research without understanding the mutant group. If we instill knowledge about Gene X into them, perhaps we can develop more controllable ways of ability awakening. It may even be possible to research ways to enhance ability. It doesn't matter that they are Hydra. What the FBI and the FBI Academy lack the least now is people with telepathy ability. Psylocke on Monday, Shadowy Cuckoo on Tuesday, White Queen on Wednesday, Jean Grey on Thursday, Omega Kid on Friday, White Duck Egg on Saturday. Then on Sunday Yoden led everyone in a team-building activity. 24 hours of high-intensity telepathy ability brainwashing, 7 days a week. Hydra. Even 900 snakes can paralyze him like a child. Chapter 24, The Unharmonious Reunion Between Father and Daughter. As the main force to clear the heavy weapons, Magneto arrived last. After coming in, he stood at the back of the X-Men and did not communicate with anyone, including Mystique Raven, with whom he once worked closely. At this time, Lee Chung-fung, who had already cancelled the green light transformation, brought the X-Men to the lower level of the castle, which is the most important part of the Hydra Research Institute laboratory. In the center, two cells made of transparent material stood there. The brother and sister who had just been in the same cell had now been separated. Magneto, who had said nothing, suddenly sped up his pace and passed by everyone without saying a word. But the expression kept changing. Anger, regret, expectation. Lee Chung-fung and Cyclops started gossiping in a low voice. Why would Magneto, as a mutant, be at odds with you? Aren't you all from the same tribe? He looks at you as if you owe him millions. Quote, you don't know this. He was once our leader like Xavier, and also the most powerful mutant in the entire tribe. But because of our different positions, we eventually parted ways and became the Mutant Brotherhood and Xavier Ability School. Quote, position. Quote, Lee Chung-fung nodded. These two words seem to weigh 1,000 pounds. These two words almost represent irreconcilability. Positions cannot be changed easily. Since the conflict between the two parties is such a fundamental issue, why did Magneto, as the leader of the Mutant Brotherhood, participate in this operation? Is it just because of Yoden's words? Quote, why would I ask a ghost if you ask me? Magneto is the most paranoid and frightening person in the entire mutant community. But he does care about his fellow mutants, but his methods and means are too extreme. Quote, Cyclops shrugged. Magneto's actions were extreme and unpredictable. Without any explanation, he could only guess. Wait, who were you talking about? You weren't talking about Professor Xavier, were you? Quote, how else? Think about his bald head. If it's not a white duck egg, then what is it? Don't you know the story of the two leaders of the FBI, the white duck egg and the black salted egg? Quote, ha 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 ha, this is such a vivid description, a white duck egg. Quote, Lee Chung-fung looked at the X-men who were trying to hold back their laughter and Wolverine who was grinning wildly, and his face was filled with black lines. So you are this kind of X-men, you really made a mistake. But when he came to his senses, Magneto had already started to manipulate the metal nearby to violently dismantle the cell. Magneto, stop it. Do you want to scare two kids, both of them? Quote. Li Changfeng originally wanted to say don't scare the two children. After all, the confusion and helplessness of the two siblings are indeed like those of two children. But then I thought, I am only 25 years old, and it is not appropriate to call two 20-year-olds children. After saying that, he motioned Ada Wong and Harley Quinn to find the switch to open the cage. Then Li Changfeng looked at the brother and sister again. My brother seemed to be stuck in a vortex of unpredictable speed and couldn't extricate himself. Sometimes his speed was no different from that of an ordinary person, and sometimes his speed was fast enough to leave a series of afterimages in the cage. At first glance, it looks like duplication. The elder sister seems to live in her own world, except that her younger brother occasionally breaks into this world. She was fiddling with some worn-out building blocks with her eyes dull and absorbed. But he didn't use his hands directly, but instead used the crimson magic energy derived from the origin magic power. That's right, this pair of siblings are the famous Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in the original work. But now, they are just two semi-finished products locked in a laboratory. The ability from Gene X was not properly developed, let alone effectively controlled. In their current state, let alone fighting, they probably can't even take care of themselves, right? Ellipsis. Soon, Ada Wong and Harley Quinn dug out the code to unlock the cage from several core researchers of Hydra. Then he typed something on the host, and with a slight sound, the transparent cage finally opened, but apart from holding each other's hands tightly again, the brother and sister did not dare to step out of the area originally covered by the cage. It seemed that this was a safe zone that belonged to the two of them alone. As long as they didn't leave here, they would not suffer any more harm to each other. Hey, don't be nervous. I'm an FBI agent and I'm here to rescue you. Li Changfeng tried to step into this safe area. After finding that the two did not react, he began to get close to the siblings. Can you tell me your names? Quote. My name is Wanda Maximov. Quote. Pietro Maximov. Quote. Li Changfeng was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that it would be so easy to get close to them. The main reason was that Scarlet Witch had already awakened the origin magic power. Although she had just awakened it and had not yet learned how to control this power, she could still feel Li Changfeng's kindness without a trace of impurities. The original uneasiness quickly subsided. Although his nerves are a little oversensitive due to being locked up for a long time, he is just a little abnormal and not completely crazy. Basic good and evil can still be distinguished. For example, Hydra, who have been conducting experiments on them, are definitely not good people. And the FBI that killed these Hydras, at least at this moment. He is a good person. But Magneto suddenly became excited. Whether it was the country of Latveria or Pietro, who looked almost the same as he did when he was young, they made him extremely certain. This is his lost child. When Magneto was still young and strong, he lived in seclusion in Latveria for a long time, hiding his identity. Fall in love, get married, and have children. The happy life of a family of four has begun to change his originally radical thoughts. But as his identity was exposed, he was hunted by the anti-mutant organization and was eventually betrayed by his villagers and neighbors. Magneto completely lost faith in ordinary people. Coupled with the loss of his two children, Magneto became the man who would kill an entire family at any time. What? Polaris. That's another story for Magneto's head. After confirming the identities of the siblings, Magneto was still excited, and his trembling hands actually showed a bit of old age. Do you two still remember your father? Quote. Father. If you mean adoptive parents, they're dead. Wanda's confused eyes became clearer when she mentioned her deceased parents, and a hint of hatred was revealed. There was a civil war in Latveria, and they died under the bomb of Stark Industries. In order to avenge ourselves, we became little white mice locked in a transparent cage. Quote. You volunteered to join the Hydra Laboratories experiment in order to gain enough power for revenge. Quote. Li Changfeng nodded. This would explain why Hydra was studying the X gene even though they were unaware of the existence of the mutant group. It's okay if you deliver it to your door yourself. Chapter 25, The Second Princess of Asgard in the Dungeon. However, Stark can't escape the blame for blasting Deadman's adoptive parents. After all, it was an arms dealer in its early years. Although it has stopped manufacturing arms now, Stark Industries sold a large number of arms when Obadiah was in power, many of which flowed into the black market. Those middlemen in the black market made a lot of money by reselling Stark Industries arms. But the crimes of the arms dealer are a stain that Stark will never be able to wash away in his lifetime. It's reasonable for that guy with a mustache to kowtow to others. But forget about paying with one's life. Instead of seeking revenge on the person who threw the bomb, you go after the person who sold the bomb. Come on. Stark Industries. The Tony Stark that often appears on TV. Good. Now I will go and help you kill him. Avenge your adoptive parents. Quote. After hearing this, Magneto felt a surge of anger rising to his head. He stood up and walked out. The Stark building can be said to be an iconic building in New York. If Magneto's head really came over, Tony Stark would be basically hopeless unless he had made a set of anti-Magneto armor, with non-metallic materials in advance. But before Lee Chung-fung could stop him, Magneto was stopped in his tracks by a voice. Why are you asking me this question? Wanda asked doubtfully, who are you? Quote. Children, I am your biological father. Quote. Are you powerful, then? Quote. Wanda just looked at Magneto, with an indescribable emotion. I am one of the strongest mutants. Quote. Where were you when our biological mother was suffering from illness? Where were you when the two of us were homeless and shivering in the bridge tunnel? Where were you when our adoptive parents who saved us and gave us a real home died in the explosion? Quote. Magneto opened his mouth several times to say something, but ultimately remained silent. There is no way to defend it. After a series of questions, even Wolverine, who had the worst relationship with Magneto, sighed and patted Magneto's shoulder for the first time to comfort the kid. Pietro and I never needed a father like this. Quote. The decisive tone and the soft and weak voice combined into a sharp sword. Wanda personally held the sword and severed the blood bond that was already like a bubble. It's not like they haven't imagined what their biological father looks like. It's not like they haven't longed for their biological father to find them. But from today on, Wanda and Pietro no longer have a father, because their father died in that damn explosion. Now, they only have each other. Lee Chung-fung covered his mouth with his hands, fearing that it would be inappropriate for him to laugh out loud at this moment. But he still looked expectant and ready to continue eating melon. But after Wanda said that she would sever the father-daughter relationship, Magneto seemed to understand that he was indeed not a qualified father and was not qualified to be forgiven, so he rushed out with murderous intent. My goodness, is this because he was scolded by his own daughter and he was so angry that he was ready to vent his anger on Stark? Lee Chung-fung rushed forward and grabbed Magneto's shoulder. Eric, what are you going to do? Quote. To kill someone. Quote. Don't even think about it. Lee Chung-fung rejected him without a second thought. The FBI won't let you kill Stark. Quote. Don't get in my way. An FBI agent can't pose any threat to me. Quote. Magneto turned his head and stared at Lee Chung-fung with bloodshot eyes. But Lee Chung-fung remained calm and continued. First of all, it's not that I don't allow you to kill, but the FBI won't agree. Although your ability is indeed very powerful, can you be stronger than the FBI with the support of the entire America's resources? Can you be stronger than the entire X-Men? And most importantly, quote, why do you think I'm not a threat to you? Quote, Magneto didn't reply, but just stretched out his finger, and Lee Chung-fung flew backwards rapidly and hit the wall, splashing up dust all over the sky. But there's a good saying. Falling into water will not kill you, and having smoke will not hurt you. The day is bright, the night is dark. There is nowhere for evil spirits to hide. The heretics and rebellious parties are afraid of my divine light. The green light is always on, shining forever. Quote, I saw the green light of will rising into the sky, dispersing the smoke and dust. Lee Chung-fung had already completed the green light transformation, and threw the magnum and terminal on his waist to Ada Wong and Harley Quinn respectively. These are the only metal items on his body. Okay, let's continue the fight. Quote, as soon as Lee Chung-fung finished speaking, Magneto took action. He is a ruthless man of few words, never saying much nonsense, and Magneto does not have any problems of a villain boss. But Li Changfeng no longer had any metal on him that he could use, so he chose the metal wreckage outside the castle. The war had just ended and there was scrap metal everywhere. Just like that, it condensed into huge amounts of steel thorns and attacked Li Changfeng. Li Changfeng used his will to materialize two high-speed vibrating chainsaw swords in his hands with green light. He rushed forward to meet Magneto's attack, and cutting through the scrap metal was a piece of cake. But Magneto didn't expect that. Because he had just dealt with heavy weapons directly on the battlefield, while Li Changfeng chose to break into the castle directly. After Magneto dealt with the heavy weapons and entered the castle, Li Changfeng had already cancelled the green light transformation. So Magneto had no idea that he actually had this weird ability. I have to say, the Green Lantern Ring's ability is a perfect counter to Magneto. After all, the magnetic field cannot affect the green light of will. So the battle that seemed like a fight between gods soon came to an end. The scene of Magneto pulling up the sky full of metal is indeed quite terrifying, but now he is just an old man tied up in a green straitjacket. Li Changfeng looked at Magneto and felt that something was missing. Harley Quinn ran over, rolled up some gauze from the lab, stuffed it into Magneto's mouth, and finally sealed it with a piece of tape. Finally, Li Changfeng used a layer of green light of will as a barrier to completely isolate Magneto from the outside world. Sure, how did you know I wanted to gag him? Quote, when I was in the kidnapping business, I had to do this. I learned it after watching it many times. Quote, the conversation between Li Changfeng and Harley Quinn made the surrounding X-Men look at them strangely. Brother, we are from the FBI and we eat public food. How come you are so skilled in the methods of criminals? Ada Wong did not join in Harley Quinn's daily cuteness. She always felt that the layout of the castle was a bit strange. The inner and outer spaces seem a bit unequal, which means there is a secret passage going down here. King Ada finally found the switch of the secret passage and continued, usually, the tunnels in this kind of ancient castle have only two uses, escape or secret dungeon. Quote, Li Changfeng looked at King Ada in shock. Sister Wong is really a person who does great things quietly. But it would be better if she could listen to me and change into white stockings. But Li Changfeng immediately put this thought behind his mind, because the leather pants and long boots were really sexy. Using the green light of will to hold Magneto in the air in front of you, you can keep an eye on him and provide lighting at the same time, killing two birds with one stone. Although the tunnel spirals downward, it is not very long and we reach the bottom quickly. What came into their sight was a high-tech cell that was totally out of place in the ancient bunker. And a handsome but somewhat evil man stood inside. At this moment, he spread his hands and said speechlessly, okay, a new group of people has arrived. Quote, do you also want to receive divine revelation from the great god of trickery?